Yunwu closed her eyes and asked Longqing, Longqing, it's you who urged me back to Yunjia. How dare you say that you didn't know the emperor's order to get me engaged to Longsan? At that time, I was urged to go home. Now you're asking for a crime. Don't you think it's ridiculous? Little things blame me for letting you go home and get engaged? Long Qingxia's hand slowly rubs Yunwu's cheek. When Yunwu wants to avoid it, he pursues it again, but he won't let go. Cloud Dance is harassed by him impatiently. Fierce-side head a bite dragon Qing evil tiger mouth. Yunwu bit hard, but he didn't bite the skin. Every time this man's blood enters her mouth, it is the effect of poison and overpowering drug, so as to avoid the folly of the previous several times. Therefore, Yunwu did not bite his finger. Long Qingxia didn't hide from her all the time and didn't make a sound, just let her bite quietly. After a long time, Yunwu loosened her lips and said to the dragon, I have nothing to do with you, so I don't blame you, and you can't mind my business. Long Qingxia deeply looks at the cloud dance of red lips. Even though she was still a sick face, her shining eyes still made him feel that the little things in front of him were very beautiful. If you promise me that you won't have an affair with Long San, I won't kill him. Cloud dance but the slightest ungrateful way. I want with who together, you by what tube, who gives you this qualification? She was really moved by the dragon, but it doesn't mean that she became a woman who was willing to be a man's accessory. She disdains to be a woman who doesn't even have the meaning of her own existence. The two fingers of Dragon Qingxia hold Yunwu's jaw and announce like an emperor, You are my woman according to my determination of Dragon Qingxia. The cloud dance is not willing to show weakness of reply Wei. You although go to affirm good, I said. I don't belong to anyone. I only belong to myself. The dragon tilts its evil lips. Yes? Then you'll remember what you said and stay away from that rubbish. Yunwu thought that she would be forced to meet Longqingxi in the end, but she didn't expect Longqingxi to make such a sudden concession. On the contrary, she was caught off guard. Little thing, I'm waiting for you to admit that you are my woman. With these words, Long Qingxia got out of bed and jumped out of the wide-open window. Cloud Dance stayed on the bed for a while, then thought, this is the first time. Long Qingxia has nothing to do, but ran to find her. Yunwu, who was very tired and just wanted to have a rest, was disturbed by Dragon's evil spirit. Now he was not sleepy at all, so he had to sink his mental strength into the sea of consciousness and enter the Chaos Palace. In the Hall of Chaos, Hayo sits cross-legged alone. He used the black fog to conjure up a dog as black as him. When Yunwu appeared in Chaos Hall, he looked at the dog with a blank face. Cloud Dance was made speechless by this silent picture. Black Proud Sea Cloud Dance came, with a wave, the dog again into black fog, back to his body around. Hayo, do you know the effect of Qi in the Door of Life on advanced cultivation? Black Ao twisted his eyebrows, stuck Cloud Dance, said to her, Don't tell me that you want to rely on this kind of unorthodox things to cultivate. Of course, if you feel that in the future, your strength will stop. Just be satisfied with becoming a small great master or martial saint. That's okay. Listen to Hayo's words. Yunwu can't help worrying. When I was healing today, I improved some strength with my anger and reached the 7th level peak. Will this have any impact on the future? If because of this kind of thing and affect the strength of the future, she is not too wronged. It's a small 7-level peak. Shuoyo can kill her easily. Hayo glanced at her contemptuously and said, Samurai level 7 has just touched the barrier of level 8. Who gives you so much confidence that you think you will encounter a bottleneck? Cloud Dance really began to regret let Black Ao become like this. She suspected that before she was killed, she would be angry to death by Black Ao. See Cloud Dance really urgent, Black Proud just unwillingly gave her detailed explanation. If you use too much of the Qi of Chaos Hall on your own advanced level, you will not be able to use your cultivation to gain strength. If the Gate of Life in Chaos Hall is full of things like Qiyu and Xianghua, you can try it. But, don't mention you. Even the previous master of Chaos Hall couldn't do that. After a pause, Hayo continued. If you can't let the vitality flow continuously, you won't be able to gain strength. Naturally, your cultivation will encounter a bottleneck. But now you only rely on a small amount of anger to improve your strength. There's no need to worry. Cloud Dance has no time to deal with the irony of Black AO. She is more shocked at what Black AO told her. Let the door of Chaos Palace be full of genius treasures that ordinary people can't touch in their lifetime? Are you kidding? If anyone wants to rely on Chaos Hall to improve himself, just looking for those things, isn't he dead tired? Seeing what Yunwoo thought in his heart, Hyo said, "It's only normal to rely on real perseverance and fighting to cultivate. If you want to take a shortcut, you'll pit yourself to death in the end." Cloud Dance is really not seen. Black Proud still have such consciousness. The main reason is that his previous image doesn't look like a good thing. What do you do when you come to Chaos Hall when you have nothing to do? I'm not right. You want to take a shortcut and rely on the anger in Chaos Hall to enhance your strength? Yunwoo said inexplicably, "This is my place. Why can't I come?" Then Hyo remembered, not to mention the Chaos Temple. Now even he is the servant of Yunwoo. That damned master-servant contract. Think of master-servant contract. Black Proud see Cloud Dance all over uncomfortable. "You stay. I'll go." Black Pride turns into fog and dissipates in Chaos Hall. There's no way to practice here. Yunwoo thinks this big but empty place is boring, so she just left. However, Yunwoo didn't know that after she left, Hyo appeared again and murmured to the place where Yunwoo disappeared. It's so interesting that a thin ray of vitality can be promoted to the peak of the 7th level. I don't know if it's a good night's sleep after Yunwoo left Chaos Hall. The next morning, before dawn, I couldn't go on sleeping because of the noise outside. Cloud Dance mood is not very good to lift the quilt out of bed. A push opened the door. You see the courtyard of people. She remembers that her Ning Yuan was ordered by Yun Chi that no one could enter it at will, right? The servants with sharp eyes saw Yunwoo getting up and immediately whispered to other people nearby. Cloud Dance slightly frowned. Then, just to those servants indifferent asked, "Who let you in?" Next people, "You look at me, I look at you." But no one paid any attention to Yunwoo, and a trace of disdain flashed in his eyes. As if nothing had happened, he continued his work. Cloud Dance flashed a cold light at the bottom of his eyes, but he still kept a little weak. He said, "It seems that the quality of the servants in this family is too low. It's necessary to let his grandfather change a new batch." The next people smell speech. This just a little convergence. The last middle-aged man is very unwilling to come out. "The 5th lady asked us to come here. She said that since the emperor was married, he should clean up here in order to avoid people saying that the Cloud family can't be on the stage." After hearing this, Yunwoo felt a little ridiculous. Is it a matter of 2 days for Miss Yun to be unable to get on the stage? Lu Qinshui arranges these people to come over. Really thinks she does not understand is what meaning. But I don't care. Cloud Dance has no leisure to talk with this group of servants, cold voice Wei. "Here don't embellish what, you all go out. 5 aunt if say again let you come over. Let her first to ask my grandfather answer not to agree. Miss 9, there's no way for us to deal with the 5th lady. I can't do it? I remember, the family has the final say, but also cannot turn my 5 aunt. How? Do you need me to go to my grandfather in person and say the middle-aged man was speechless and in a dilemma? No one in the Cloud family knows that Yunwoo is Yunlin's favorite granddaughter now. Although people don't like this sick young lady, they dare not disobey her when she moves out of the old man. However, in the eyes of these servants, except Miss 9, all of them were masters of the Cloud family. So they went back. The 5th lady must have let them go easily. Just when people were in a dilemma, someone ran in from the gate of the courtyard. "The general is back." The 5th lady asked Miss 9 to meet the general at the gate of the mansion. "Is Yunlungi back?" Cloud Dance eyebrows slightly pick for a while, however. To meet Cloud Cold this kind of thing have no interest at all, turn around to return to the room. But he heard the servant say to others, "I heard that the general also brought an old woman back. It is said that she is from Morong family." People found that when Yunwoo heard that the general had brought an old woman back from Morong's house, her face changed obviously. I don't know if it's an illusion. Even her eyes, which were dim because of her illness, were a little brighter than before. Cloud Dance turned to the servant who had talked with her before and asked, "Does the 5th aunt want me to meet the general?" The servant was not sure what Cloud Dance meant, so he only answered, "Then go." Yunwoo went back to the house, changed his clothes, and walked out of the yard. People have long been familiar with her appearance. It's not one day or two that Miss Ju is dying of illness. But at this time, Cloud Dance in the heart is they don't know extremely excited. The old woman Yunlungi brought back from Morong Fu, apart from Granny Yao, is there anyone else? If it wasn't for pretending to be a sick child, Yunwoo really wanted to run directly to the gate of Yun's house and immediately have a look to see if the person who came back with Yunlungi was Granny Yao. When Yunwoo drags to the door of Yunjia's house, all Yunjia's family, including Yunqi, arrive. Of course, is naturally the five-wife Lu Qinshui, who has always wanted to put an eyeliner in her yard. As soon as Yunqi saw Yunwoo coming, she waved to her with a smile. "Girl, come to my grandfather." Cloud Dance smiles, but the ill and ugly appearance falls in other people's eyes, which just attracts countless dislikes. When Yunqinger saw that Yunqi loved Cloud Dance, he was even more furious. Why is this sick seedling so hard to die? Cloud Dance will automatically ignore all people's eyes in the past. Let a group of the next 3 people bad mood. She is waiting to see the medicine mother-in-law. It is not a big loss. Yunqi thought that according to Yunwoo's temper, he would not come over. But since Yunwoo is willing to come over, he should be able to make the relationship between the father and daughter closer. It's a pity that Yunqi doesn't know. Yunwoo has already broken up with Yunling's kindness since he was in the border camp. The sound of the horse's hoof comes from the corner of the street. Yunwoo looks along the sound and sees a group of powerful people coming to Yunjia. The leader is riding a one-horned steed horse with black and shining body. Naturally, he is Yunling Iyun General. Then followed by a team of cavalry, a team of infantry, and between cavalry and infantry, there was a simple carriage. The carriage was not only simple in appearance, but also different from Yunling Yi and the animal horse used to pull it. It was just 2 of the most common animal horses. When he saw the carriage, Yunwoo knew that the man in the carriage must be Granny Yao. Only mother-in-law Yao will still be so simple after entering the Morong family, without the luxury of those big families. Determined this matter, Cloud Dance looked at that group of people's eyes and added a bit of expectation. This kind of expectation falls in other people's eyes. Naturally, she will think that Miss Jio, who has never been favored, thinks that she can expect some kind of paternal love when she sees the general return to Yun's home. Yun Qinger sneered and muttered, "Don't look at yourself in the mirror. Do you really think you can get into other people's eyes?" Without waiting for Yunwoo to respond, Yunqi angrily rebukes Yunqinger and says, "You are so mean to your family. What do you learn on weekdays?" Although Yunqinger is not angry, because of Yunqi's dignity in the Cloud family, she just shut up. However, this account was also recorded by her in Yunwoo. Yunwoo takes a light look at Yunqinger and thinks that she is just a clown. Now that her grandfather has spoken for her, she has no need to deal with Yunqinger. Yunlingyi drives his unicorn horse to the door of Yun's house. He quickly turns over and dismounts, and salutes Yunqi as a father and son. "Father, I'm back." Yunqi nodded with satisfaction, looked at the carriage and asked, "Is that the old lady of Morong Mansion on the carriage?" Yunlingyi winks at his followers. The man immediately went to the side of the carriage and said a few words to the carriage. An old man got out of the carriage with his help. She was the Granny Yao who had saved Yunwoo's life. Yunqi also attaches great importance to the Morong family. After Granny Yao approaches, she takes the initiative to say, "Old Lady Morong, welcome to the Morong family. I'm an old lady. I just hope I don't give you any trouble." Granny Yao is still the kind-hearted figure in Yunwoo's memory. She doesn't even change her wrinkles, but her clothes are not the old things in the past. They have all changed into expensive materials. Cloud Dance looking at such a medicine mother-in-law. I socket suddenly a hot medicine mother-in-law in Morong home is very good. This is enough. Although, her present appearance cannot recognize with the medicine mother-in-law. Granny Yao noticed Yunwoo's eyes. When she saw her, she was in a trance. Yunlingyi asked Granny Yao, "Old lady, what's the matter?" She looked at the cloud and said, "This young lady of the Cloud family reminds me of a little girl I used to know. The old lady miss her very much." Yunlingyi just noticed Yunwoo standing in the crowd. He looked at Yunwu for a while, but finally he didn't open his eyes because of Yunwu's sickly appearance. When Yunqi sees Yunwu's eye contact with Granny Yao, she is very happy to bring her to Granny Yao. Old lady, this is Cloud Dance in our family, ranking 9th, and the youngest granddaughter in our family. Granny Yao has nothing to do with Yunwu's appearance. She just looks at her lovingly. Miss 9, you look like someone I know. Yunwu was so moved that she could hardly speak. Granny Yao thought she was so important that she could recognize some of them just by her appearance. It's a blessing for Yunwu to be similar to the people she knows. That girl must be very close to you. Yes, I'm closer than my own granddaughter. Granny Yao half squinted, as if thinking of the past days with Yunwu. Yunlingji didn't want to face Yunwu all the time. So he said to Granny Yao, "Old lady, go ahead and talk. You should be tired all the way." Granny Yao nodded and said to Yunwu, "Girl, would you like to accompany me for a while?" Naturally, Yunwu is willing. It's rare for the old lady not to give up. "If you don't dislike me as an old woman, I'll be bored." The other Cloud family members, who were waiting to please the old lady of Morong family, were all silly. They secretly hated Yunwu and didn't know what luck they had taken. It's just that Yunqi likes her. How can this old lady treat her like this? Yun Qinger's eyes turned red when he saw it. Before she came to meet Yun Lungi, her mother told her repeatedly that she would try her best to win the favor of the old lady of Morong family. Now it's okay. All of them were robbed by Yunwu. Yunlingi didn't expect that the old lady of Morong family liked the Cloud Dance so much, but the old lady opened her mouth, so he had to let Cloud Dance follow her. Yunwu carefully held Granny Yao and asked her, "Old lady, how did you come to Yunjia this time?" "The general just passed the Morong family. I'm old, and I haven't come out to have a look. The general has a good heart, so he brought me to the Cloud family." Granny Yao is distressed that Yunwu is not in good health at first sight. She tries her best to walk steadily, so as not to make Yunwu too tired. Yunwu knows very well that Yunlingji will bring Granny Yao to Yunjia, which is mainly due to Yunling Shuiyan plague. Now it seems that the attitude of these people is more than that. It seems that they want to win over the Morong family and take the initiative to show their kindness. However, since the mother-in-law of medicine has come, she will keep quiet and see what's wrong with these people. Along the way, mother-in-law Yao chatted with Yunwu very opportunistically. Finally, she simply asked Yunwu to call her mother-in-law Yao instead of the old lady. Cloud Dance naturally is to shout this more agreeable. Coax the medicine mother-in-law is very happy. Lu Qinshui saw his teeth itching and said to Yun Qinger, "What did you think just now? Why didn't you take the initiative to support old lady Morong?" Yun Qinger is full of grievances and has no place to say. He is also taught a lesson by his mother, which is even more painful. Even if I want to help, does that old thing give me a chance? She saw the diseased seedling at the first sight when she got out of the car. She didn't even look at me. Lu Qinshui stares at Yun Qinger and looks at Yunwu's back. He thinks of the second-grade wind Yuan Dan he lost in Yunwu's hand, and he is even more angry with Yunwu. Sooner or later, she will find a chance to teach that little bitch a lesson. Yunwu and Granny Yao are happy until supper time, which still makes others jealous. At dinner time, Yunqi even arranged Yunwu beside Granny Yao to be in the same level with Yunlungi, who was opposite her, so that other people could only have a hot eye, but there was nothing to do. Yunlungi didn't feel much about Yunwu, but he was just a daughter he hadn't met since he was a child. But now that Granny Yao likes Yunwu so much, Yunlingji naturally won't treat Yunwu harshly in front of her. "Yunwu, if you are not in good health, don't drink the wine. Let the servants stew some tonic soup for you at night. You remember to drink it before you go to sleep." Yunwu, who is chatting with Granny Yao, takes a look at Yunlungi, but doesn't show how happy he is because of his words. "No, I'm not used to going out before bed." This time, Yunlungi is in love with his cold ass, and his most unpopular daughter gives him a look, which makes him feel a little embarrassed. Yun Qinger seized the opportunity and said, "Yunwu is the red man in front of her grandfather now. Generally, servants can't serve her. She's in that small yard. No one is allowed to go in at ordinary times." Lu Qinshui also said, "Yes, I specially arranged someone to take care of her today, but those servants came back and told me that Yunwu had driven them back. It's clear that the servants of the Cloud family disdain to serve Yunwoo, but after the mother and daughter sing a song and confuse black and white, they just say that Yunwoo is a spoiled and bullying young lady. Yunchi is so annoyed by Luchin jellyfish that she pats her chopsticks on the table. Just have a good meal. With so many mouths open, a bowl of rice is not enough for you, is it? After listening to their mother and daughter's words, Yunlingyi also frowns frequently and has a bad impression of Yunwoo. He also does not think, with the Cloud dance and the Cloud family's status, which has her to play the room. Granny Yao looks at the stingy jellyfish girl Luchin. She doesn't have prejudice to Yunwoo just because of their words. Granny Yao felt Yunwoo's thin hand, which was obviously with calluses and scars, and looked down on Luchin jellyfish. She is not an old woman who has never seen the market at all. The body of Yunwoo girl is as bad as if she would fall down when the wind blows. It can be seen that she is not a spoiled child. How can she be easily deceived by the mother and daughter? Granny Yao grabs Yunwoo's person and deliberately says, "Yunwoo, how can your hand be so rough? The girl family want to be able to enjoy happiness. You are 9 Miss of Cloud family. Let the servant do anything. If the servants are lazy and bully you when you are young, you can tell several ladies that they will make decisions for you." Yunwoo was almost laughed by Granny Yao. She understood that Granny Yao was angry with Lu Qinshui and Yun Qinger, and she was venting her anger. I see. They all listen to Granny Yao. I'll go to some ladies to make decisions for me if I have anything to do in the future. Lu Qinshui and the third lady on the table don't look good. When did they become masters of Yunwoo? Don't you mean to embarrass them? Yunlingyi also responds to Granny Yao's words. It is obvious just now that Yun Qinger and Lu Qinshui are deliberately choreographing Paiyun dance to make him hate his daughter. Thinking that the mother and daughter were still fiddling with these things when they had distinguished guests, Yun Long looked at them sternly. After the mother and daughter bowed their heads in shame, they turned to Yun Woo. I don't know if it's because of the episode just now. Yunlingyi even starts to feel that he owes his daughter and feels that Yunwoo is pleasing to the eye. Yunchi sat on the throne and said to Granny Yao, "My little granddaughter is good at everything, but she is too weak and soft-tempered. I really don't know who can protect her if I'm not here." Yunwoo admires Yunchi's ability to open her eyes and tell lies. Is she soft? If she is soft-tempered, is there any hard-tempered woman in the world? The more Granny Yao listens, the more distressed she is. Good people are bullied. Isn't that what she used to be? If it wasn't for Wu Feng's girl, she and Xiaoye didn't know what they were like. This time, she should have brought Xiaoye, but Grandma Yao thought about the hard work. Xiaoye was young after all, and she couldn't bear it. After listening to Yunqi's words, Yunlingyi realizes that Yunwoo's life in the mansion must be extremely bad, and he has some thoughts of compensation for her. Yunwoo, you should take good care of your health. Tomorrow, find some good doctors to come to the house and give you a diagnosis and treatment. No, I'm just like this. It's too late to cure the root of the disease that has been falling over the years. Yunwoo gives medicine to her mother-in-law, but she doesn't even look at Yunlingyi. Yunlingyi is extremely annoyed by Yunwoo's attitude. He is willing to take the initiative to get close to his sick daughter. Unexpectedly, people don't like him. Yunchi doesn't know why Yunwoo is so resistant to Yunlingyi, so he has to make a comeback nearby, so that he can finish the meal well. When the banquet ended, Yunwoo's face was obviously paler than before, as if eating such a meal could consume her only vitality. Granny Yao loves Yunwoo. She doesn't pull her to talk anymore. Instead, she urges her to go back and have a rest. Even Yunlingyi, who originally wanted to talk to Yunwoo about her marriage, couldn't find a reason to talk to her, so he had to let her go. Yunwoo said goodbye to Granny Yao and went back to Ningyuan alone. In the face of the cold moonlight in the courtyard, I feel some melancholy. If Granny Yao knows that she is woofing in the future, will she be blamed for not recognizing Granny Yao? The more I think about it, the more upset I feel. Yunwoo doesn't stay in the hospital anymore. Now that Yunlingyi comes back, she doesn't pay attention to her in the dark. Yunwoo changes the appearance of a servant girl and goes out of Yun's house. She plans to go outside. At night, the imperial city is still very busy, and the clouds dance aimlessly. After a round, I finally decided to go to the everything market again. Last time, She was disturbed by Dragon Qingxie, but she didn't get a good turn. What's more, it shouldn't be such a coincidence. Let her meet Dragon Qingxie again, right? As it turns out, Long Qingxie didn't happen, but the whole everything market fell into a strange state of tension because of the arrival of Cloud Dance. After all, the last time Long Xiao killed all the members of the law enforcement team of Everything Market in order to vent his anger on Yunwu, it has long been spread. The appearance of Yunwu is also spread in private among all people because they hope not to step on thunder in the future. When Yunwu stepped into the market of all things, he found that the market, which was originally chaotic and noisy, was quiet. It was silent. She looked suspiciously at the people inside, and those people immediately started their business, as if those just now were illusions of cloud dancing. This time, Yunwu pays special attention to the market of all things and finds that the guides who used to follow the guests have disappeared. Instead, they are the law enforcement teams patrolling back and forth. Although the market is still as chaotic as before, it is also orderly and much better than before. Yunwu strolls around the market at will, occasionally stops in front of a certain stall, and then walks away after confirming that there is no reaction in the chaos hall. And every stall owner who had been given attention by Yunwu breathed out a long breath after Yunwu left. Long Xiao's women, they really don't want to contact. After all, everyone has only one life. No one wants to offend Yunwu and be forced to commit suicide. Yunwu is very comfortable because of the strange atmosphere in the market. How can everyone be scared when they see her? They all blame the last time Long Qingxie acted on her in front of others. Just as Yunwu was about to leave, a voice of black pride came from the chaos hall. Don't go. Go to the third stall on your left. Cloud Dance suddenly heard the voice of black proud, startled, did not expect that after the master and servant contract, they can still communicate like this. Why don't you go? Black Ao impatient voice appeared in Cloud Dance's mind. She can imagine Black Ao, that coal-like black face, put out what kind of expression. Cloud Dance doesn't linger anymore. The last time it let Hyo, who was still in the form of black fog, have a reaction, it was a good thing. This time it let Hyo take the initiative to speak. What would it be? When Yunwu came to the stall, he found that it was a stall selling all kinds of medicinal materials. Yunwu starts to talk with Hyo in his heart. Do you want me to buy herbs? Buy all the dragon scale grass, snow ganoderma vine, and vanilla in this stall. Cloud Dance in the heart silent for a while. Just continue to communicate with Black Ao. Why do you think I can recognize the herbs you mentioned? How can I know that you are so useless that you don't even know the most basic herbs? Cloud Dance secretly rolled a white eye. Endure the impulse that wants to turn around to leave. No longer talk with Black Ao. Turn to look at that stall owner. The owner of the medicine stall of the poor family is scared out of a cold sweat by the Cloud Dance. The woman of Long Xiao suddenly comes to him and still stands in front of the stall and doesn't speak. What does that mean? Cloud Dance thought about it and said directly, I've asked for all the dragon scale grass, Zeus hiding and Xiangulin here. How much is it? No, you don't have to. I'll see you off if Miss likes it. The stall owner waved his hand again and again. How dare he accept Yunwu's money? He was afraid that Long Xiao would take off his skin when he knew it. Cloud Dance suddenly speechless. Dragon Qing evil, that bastard. He robbed other people's things even if, also hurt her, also be regarded as a bandit. In desperation, Yunwu had to ask Hyo questions in her heart. Hyo, how much are these herbs? How do you know the price of these inferior herbs? Black Ao's answer is so reasonable that Cloud Dance has the illusion that it shouldn't ask Black Ao this question. I don't know the price. Do you know these herbs again? Can't you be erudite? Cloud Dance completely admit defeat. Fight with Black Ao. She really can't fight. The old monster who has lived for so many years, who knows how long he has practiced. Yunwu took out an ingot of silver from the space bracelet and threw it to the stall owner. If it's too much, don't change. If it's not enough, don't make up for it. Is that okay? The stall owner was moved to tears. Half of the money is enough for the low-grade medicinal materials. It has to be said that although this young lady appeared for the first time, Long Xiao killed so many people for her poor appearance, now it seems that she still has the beauty of heart. If Yunwu knew that she had changed her heart beauty with a ding of silver, she would vomit blood. Next time she saw Dragon's evil, she would have to kick him to death. Yunwoo left the everything market with medicinal materials and talked with Hayo distracted all the way. Hayo, what's the use of these herbs? Aren't you going to that little college? It's always good to have some basic medicine. Can you make medicine? When did you say I couldn't make medicine? I still have some high-grade herbs here. Why don't you help me refine them? Yunwoo thinks of the pile of medicinal materials she swept in the treasure house. Now they are all piled in the space bracelet. If Hayo can refine medicine, she will make a lot of money. Just as Yunwoo was calculating, the voice of Hayo pouring cold water came along. Can those broken things in your bracelet be regarded as high-grade medicinal materials? Do you want to be a high-grade herb, just like the weeds on the roadside? You'd better find some high-grade herbs for me to broaden my horizons. Let us restore our complete form first. I can really open your eyes. Cloud Dance is said by Hayo to be speechless. I'm a ghost. Now you look like a fierce ghost. It's thousands of miles away from the majestic image, okay? Just tell me if you can refine those herbs. I don't have those low-level prescriptions. I've seen other people refine the medicine before, and I'll remember them casually. Black Ao, that disliked tone, seemed to be those low-level Dan Fong let him see into the eye. All insulted him. Yunwoo is more and more interested in the origin of Hayo. What kind of person was he before? However, there are some useful things in your medicinal materials. Don't waste them in the future. We will naturally find ways to make them work. Yunwoo was a little happy and immediately thought of something more important. Hayo, are you refining medicine in Chaos Hall? This time, Hayo was silent for a long time. Cloud Dance's mouth twitched, feel a kind of bad premonition. Hayo, can't you refine medicine in the present form? In the bustling streets of the Imperial City at night, the Cloud Dance and the Black Pride in the Chaos Hall are silent at the same time. Hayo, are you dumb? There was no response in the Hall of Chaos. Cloud Dance sank tone, avoid crowd. Sneak back to own rather courtyard. Come in. Yunwoo sits on the bed and sinks his spirit into the sea of consciousness and enters the Hall of Chaos. Yunwoo, who originally wanted to make a crime, could not say what he wanted to say after seeing his decadent posture and drooping head. For Hayo, his former glory and his inability to make medicine are very hard on him. Black Proud see Cloud Dance came, self-mockery a smile way. It seems that you accept of servant lose money, so useless. Even servant 2 words have said. Cloud Dance probably can understand Black Ao now depressed to what extent. Hayo, if you can find some treasures that can help you recover, can you get back to the peak? Black Proud smell speech a shock, but soon, again sighed. Do you think it's easy to find things of my family? Even once you met me, I was very surprised. Yunwoo went to sit with Hayo side by side, and did not hold any hope as he did. There will always be a way. I'll tell you, I'm very lucky. Do you think I've got few treasures? Black Ao just didn't have what spirit of smile, didn't build a cavity. Now he can't be sure whether his existence is resurrected or not. What's the significance of his existence? Once upon a time, when there was only black fog, he wanted to revive, but when he was half dead, Hayo began to feel tired. Cloud Dance thought about it and asked Hayo, anyway, leave Chaos Palace for a try. Maybe there are other ways to refine medicine? Hayo shook his head and said, do you think it's easy to make medicine? Low-level pills only need to gather the elements of wood and fire, while medium-term pills must be able to mobilize the aura between heaven and earth. As I am now, I'm afraid that if I encounter fire elements, I will set myself on fire first. Yunwoo stood up, looked down at Hayo like black charcoal and said to him, you don't look like Hayo I know. I remember you said that even if there is only a black fog left, you are still looking for a way to revive. But now you, however, hold back and fear to try. Do you want me to look down on you? Do you think I don't want to restore my real strength? He replied angrily. But it can't be done at all. Yunwoo looks at Hayo's blood-red eyes, as if she can see Hayo's struggling heart through those eyes. Then follow me out and let me know that my contract does not only bind one trash. Black Ao was excited by the Cloud Dance and trembled all over. He didn't reply for a long time. Okay, I'll go out with you. Even if you die, I'll show you what real refining medicine is. I'll wait for you. Cloud Dance opens a smile at the corner of his mouth, and the spirit dissipates in the Hall of Chaos. Hayo knows that Yunwu has used the method to motivate him, but he is not angry in his heart. On the contrary, he feels that he has been moved. Damn master-servant contract. Black Proud mumbled A. Also follow Cloud Dance to disappear together in Chaos Temple. In the room, Yunwu waited nervously. Until there was a little gathering of black figures in front of him, he was relieved. Fortunately, Hayo came out with him. Medicinal materials. Hayo stretched out his hand and was very proud. Yunwu didn't think that he should be depressed for a while just now. After throwing the medicinal materials collected in the space bracelet to Hayo, Yunwu focuses on Hayo. Hayo said that the fire elements gathered in the process of refining medicine may make him set himself on fire. For this, Yunwu is also very concerned. Her original intention is to arouse the fighting spirit of Hayo, but not to kill him in this way. Black Ao holding the 3 kinds of herbs, the heart is also mixed feelings. Even he could not remember how long it had been since he had touched the medicinal materials. After a short sigh, Hayo took a deep breath, stretched out his pure black right hand and grasped it in the air. Yunwu can't see what Hayo is catching, but she finds that the fire-fighting chi in her body is agitated. This discovery surprised Yunwu. All the alchemy she had heard of depended on the Dan furnace and her own fighting spirit, but Hayo could directly mobilize the elements between heaven and earth. Even if it's just a little bit now, it can also let Yunwu know some of the strength of Hayo. A strange black flame billows in Hayo's hand. He calmly throws the medicinal materials into the fire in turn. With 5 fingers moving, the medicinal materials quickly turn into liquid medicine. 3 different colors of liquid medicine are swallowed by the black flame and begin to merge. At this time, Yunwu also found the black fog on Hayo's body, which turned out to be thinner. This discovery surprised Yunwu. Hayo is right. The fire elements used in refining medicine will burn the noumenon of Hayo. Hayo, stop it. However, Hayo turned a deaf ear to Yunwu's obstruction. He looked firm and resolute. There was only the liquid medicine in his eyes. For Hayo, if he can't refine a small, low-level pill, it's a shame that makes him more embarrassed than death. Yunwu is as anxious as an ant on a hot pot. Now she is extremely sorry for why she wanted to stir up the black and refine the medicine. Where is this to retrieve the fighting spirit of Black Pride? He looked down at the Xiangua branch on his arm and was eager to find out what was going on. Yunwu takes an empty teacup and hands it to Hayo. I don't have any empty bottles at this time. Put them in here first. Black Proud speechless, put the liquid medicine into the teacup. The body quickly dissipated into a massive fog, poured into the body of the cloud. There was no discomfort in this process. Yunwu thought that he could let Hayo come out several times in the future. He was stuffy in the Chaos Hall, so it must be hard for him. Does this liquid really work well? Cloud Dance half-believe, half-doubt. Think of Black Ao just smelt medicine of time to go wrong. Don't know should fall, still should stay. The voice of Black Pride came from the Hall of Chaos. If you don't believe me, you'll fall. Yunwu takes a deep breath and talks with Hayo. Can you stop listening to me all the time and believe me to punish you with the master-servant contract? Do you blame me for listening when you have to say it yourself? You can also pretend not to hear. I never do that kind of thing. Cloud Dance is angry. Come on, this seed again. What evil she did. Should let this black charcoal self-pity. After a long time, Black Proud soft-like said a word. I won't give you medicine that can't be used. You're dead. Who's going to find me the treasure to recover? Carry off all that one has to laugh, and find a bottle that used to bake the essence. After cleaning it, pour the basic healing liquid into it. She thought that she would go to Shenwang Samurai Academy in the near future, and she had treasures like Hongling, Little Red Snake, Chaos Hall, and Dragon Tornado in her hands, and she was escorted by such characters as Hayo. Yunwu is looking forward to the King Warrior Academy. With the means to protect her life, she can concentrate on striving for the strength. Because of the return of Yunlungi, The whole Cloud family has become busy. Such excitement is more important than Yunwoo's engagement to Longsan. In this regard, Yunwoo doesn't like it. A group of people she doesn't recognize as family members at all. What to do, who to care about, and what matters to her. It's just that when Grandma Yao sees such scenes, she will feel even more distressed for Yunwoo. In order not to burden Yunwoo too much, Granny Yao only asks people to bring her to talk to her when she has dinner. Girl, when Woofing comes to see the old lady in the future, I'll find a way to let her treat you. You can take good care of yourself, you know? Well, thank you, Granny. Cloud Dance will give a slightly bitter smile. How can she tell her mother-in-law that she is Woofing and she is in good health? So let mother-in-law trouble. Really let her feel guilty. At the opposite table, Luchin Jellyfish Girl and the third lady have long been used to anger. The dead old woman has no eyes, and she has to stay with the tuberculosis ghost. What else can they do? Yunlungi has been shaken by Yunwoo too many times these days, and now she doesn't like to talk to her very much. It's just that her engagement with Long San has been under pressure for a long time, so we can't put it off any longer. Cloud Dance, Your Majesty points out the marriage for you. You should be grateful. Tomorrow is the day of engagement. Don't make a mistake and lose the people of the Cloud family. Yunwoo took a look at Yunlingji and said, If you point me to a well-known waste, my father will make me grateful? Cloud Coldy mouth a stretch. Really don't understand why this daughter now so disobedient. Everywhere with him wrong dish. Oh, by the way, because I am also a waste that no one wants. I really should be grateful for your Majesty's plan for me. My father should be the same as me. In this way, Yunwoo won't be a member of the Cloud family in the future, and the Cloud family doesn't have to work hard for me, a dying man, to die. When Yunlungi heard this, he finally burst into anger, pointed to Yunwoo and said, Yunwoo, what are you talking about? Who is going to kill you? Lu Qinshui and others are waiting to see Yunwoo's jokes. They dare to infuriate Yunlungi at Yun's home. Yunwoo really depends on the love of the old man and the dead old woman, so they don't know the superiority of heaven and earth. Cloud Dance looked at Cloud Cold forehead bouncing green tendons, weak smile. If you don't tell me anything else, you will leave me in the back mountain even though I am weak and sick. Father, you tell me, who in the Cloud family never killed me? Yunwoo's words poke the heart, making Yunlingji unable to refute. Yunqi sighed deeply and said to Yunwoo, Xiaowu, did you even scold your grandfather? Yunwoo shook his head and said, Grandfather, you are the only one in the Cloud family who is good to Xiaowu. Xiaowu knows. Alas, Lungi, if you don't know something, you don't have to say anything more. Let's eat. Yunqi also understands from Yunwoo's attitude towards Yunlingji these days that Yunwoo doesn't simply dislike and don't get close to Yunlingji, but is a kind of extreme disgust. It's just that because of his presence, Yunwoo just treats Yunlingji coldly. Unless Yunlingji takes the initiative to speak, Yunwoo will never provoke him. Yunqinger can't believe that Yunwoo is so presumptuous that she can be safe and sound, and she is even more dissatisfied. Yunwoo, you eat the Yuns and live in the Yuns, but your father didn't drive you out of the house. Now you don't know how to be grateful. Don't you think you're too greedy? Granny Yao doesn't like Yunqinger all the time. She knows that she is a pampered young lady. Moreover, she often finds fault with Yunwoo these days, which makes Granny Yao very unhappy. Yunwoo is so angry by Yunqinger that she deliberately covers her heart and makes a weak appearance. Sister, the three of you bullied me and humiliated me. I always swallow my anger. Isn't that enough? Do you know if it wasn't for the tattered body not far I've always wanted to I want to get out of here. Yunwoo's face became whiter and whiter. At last, she even talked intermittently, as if she might faint at any time. What are you talking about? When did we bully you? Even if they do it. It has nothing to do with me. Yunqinger didn't expect that the Cloud Dance Party, which has never told anyone about her grievances, was suddenly in trouble. Suddenly, she froze in the same place and began to deal with it in a flurry. Seeing that she was about to pass away, Granny Yao glared at Yunqinger and scolded, You girl, how can you be so cruel? You can poison your own sister, but you still don't shut up. No matter how domineering Yunqinger is, she doesn't dare to provoke the Morong family's old lady. She turns green and red, but she doesn't dare to reply. Lu Qinshui sees that Yunlingyi's face is very ugly. He is afraid that he will attack Yunqing'er. He gives Yunqing'er a slap with his heart. You unfilial daughter, how do I usually teach you? Look what you've done to Yunwu Qi, and you don't want to apologize. Cloud Green Sun can't believe of Wu is beaten red swollen painful cheek. Didn't expect to have been and oneself stand in the same front of mother will say this kind of words. Mother, how can you beat me? Lu Qinshui is as anxious as an ant on a hot pot. Why is this daughter so stupid? Can't you see that she's not bowing her head, and Yunlingyi will kiss her hands soon? At that time, it's not just a slap. Such a small punishment can be perfunctory. Yunqi and Granny Yao are surrounded by Yunwu. He knows that Yunwu is in good health now. He can't bear to see Granny Yao anxious. He takes out a medicine bottle from his arms and hands it to Granny Yao. Here is Xiaowu's medicine. Feed her one. Drug mother-in-law does not doubt him. The pill into Yunwu mouth and feed her to drink some water. Yunwu swallows the sugar pill and has a new understanding of Yunqi. He is not afraid of losing all his teeth when he is still eating sugar at such an old age. After a long delay, Yunwu sat up again with the help of Granny Yao. She looked at the livid Cloudlingyi and said with a sneer, "Did you hear what she said just now? Such a Cloud family, do you still expect me to be grateful to you?" My good father Yunlingyi is very excited by Yunwu tonight. He has a bad temper and is used to military tactics in the barracks. However, has he been contradicted like this? If it wasn't for the engagement between Yunwu and Longsan tomorrow, Yunlingyi would surely make Yunwu suffer. As for whether the body of Yunwu can bear it or not, Yunlingyi will not pay attention to it. Now he has no choice but to dance in the clouds. Yunlingyi's fire doesn't go anywhere. Yunqing'er is still arguing with Lu Qinshui and crying. He just bumps himself into the muzzle of the gun. Shut up, don't you think it's embarrassing enough? He brought the Morong family's old lady back, in addition to Yunlingshui, but also intended to win over the relationship between the two families. As a result, the old lady's favorite is Yunwu, and she doesn't even look at Yunqing'er. What's more, Yunqing'er is humiliated in front of the old lady again and again, which makes Yunlingyi even more angry. Yunqing'er was stunned by Yunlingyi's roar and cried, "Father, what did I do wrong?" Yunwu steals Yuan Dan, her second-grade wind department, and takes away her grandfather's favor. Even Morong's old lady wants to curry favor with her. Now even her mother and father want to beat her and scold her, which makes Yunqing'er unable to accept. Yunlingyi has been contradicted by Yunwu for many days. Yunqing'er is wronged, and it sounds like he is also contradicting. He wants to also don't want to. A slap will Cloud Green Sun hit to fall to lie on the ground. To the corner of the mouth crack bleeding Cloud Green Sun gave the punishment order. Go to the ancestral hall and kneel down. Don't eat or get up without me. Father Yunqing'er wants to say something more. Lu Qinshui goes to cover her mouth and pleads with Yunlingyi. Master, Qing'er is weak and really can't stand the punishment like that. Now Yunwu is seriously ill, and Lingshui is still plagued. Qing'er is the only one left in the family. He is still healthy. After hearing this, Yunlingyi is also depressed. What's the matter with the Cloud family? A sick seedling is enough to make people upset. Now even Yun Lingshui, who is alive on weekdays, has got a plague and is in a coma. Yunwu looks at the farce coldly in Granny Yao's arms, hoping that the bigger they make, the better. Anyway, it's all the people who used to be sorry for her. One died a lot, and two died a little. But when Granny Yao heard that Yunlingyi was talking about the plague, she asked Yunqi, "Is there another lady in the house suffering from the plague?" Yunqi looks at Yunwu without any trace, sighs and nods. Granny Yao has a good heart. She can't see people suffering, let alone dying. The old lady knows some ways to cure the plague. Let me see the young lady. When Yunlingyi hears these words, he has no time to lose his temper with his wife's daughter and looks at Granny Yao in a hurry. This time I asked the old lady to come. In fact, I just had this request. I was worried about the old lady's fatigue, but I didn't speak yet. Granny Yao said with a kind smile, "Wait a minute. Let someone take me to see the lady." "Thank you first, old lady." Yunlingyi thinks that he is keeping the cloud open and seeing the moon bright, and finally sees a little hope in this hazy home. Yunqi winks at Yunwu. He knows that Yunwu is the one who gets Yunling Shui into the plague. He also knows that Yunwu has been hanging Yunling Shui's life in order to make her suffer. Now the medicine mother-in-law wants to cure Yunling Shui. This girl should not object. Yunwu gives Yunqi an indifferent look, then holds the table and stands up reluctantly. Granny Yao, I'm not in good health. I won't go to Lingshui. Please pay more attention. Granny Yao touched Yunwu's cold and pale face and said with concern, after you go back tonight, you must have a good rest. Don't be angry anymore. Well, thank you, Granny. After Yunwu left, she stood on the path and watched Granny Yao being escorted to the residence of Yunling Shui. There was no reluctance in her heart. Today, Granny Yao saves Yunling Shui. Yunling Yi is bound to be grateful to Granny Yao. When Granny Yao returns to Morong's house in the future, she will also be told about it to the Morong family leader. At that time, the Morong family will look after the face of the owner and Yunling Yi. Presumably, they will only treat Granny Yao better. As for the life and death of Yunling Shui, Yunwu doesn't care much. Anyway, if she wants Yunling Shui to die, there are more ways to use it. Even if it can be saved this time, who says it will be in the future? Long Qingxie is close to Yunwu, lowers her body and looks at her, with an emotion in her eyes that Yunwu can't see through. Little thing, if I don't ask you personally, are you going to hide my husband until you leave the Imperial City and go to Shenwang Samurai Academy with that trash? Cloud Dance absolutely did not expect that this matter will let Long Qingxie know in advance. She just mentioned it with the Emperor. Think of the last time she was ordered to get engaged with Long San. It's also Long Qingxie urging her to go home. She just know. Is this dragon's evil in the palace with eyeliner? If so, the power of Longa in the Imperial City and even the whole Zhou dynasty is really terrible. Long Qingxie looked at Yunwu dangerously and asked, little thing, you are explaining to your husband. Are you going to elope with that trash? Cloud Dance this time simply want to scold rude, private your uncle's run. I have my own reason to go to Shenwang Samurai College. Besides, it's good to go to that college. At least, it's a way to live. How to survive? Can't she live now? If you have a husband, who dares to hurt you? Yunwu pushes away the dragon Qingxie, who is too close to him. He has a kind of inexplicable vicissitudes of life. I will never rely on anyone to live, because life is my own, and no one can protect it except myself. Therefore, there is no need to give me any promise. To be sure, and this is Cloud Dance. But exactly, it's Yunwu's temperament that makes Long Qingxie fascinated by her. Because seeing the Cloud Dance is like seeing a second self. However, although Long Qingxie didn't refute her words, he still refused to let it go easily. What do you want to do with that trash? It's better to take him with me. On the way, Weifu can accompany you and relieve the pain of Acacia for you, so that you won't be too lonely after a long night. Cloud Dance originally had a bit of vicissitudes of life, and was immediately teased by Dragon Qingxie, so that his eyelids suddenly jumped. Can this man still speak some words? That's it. What do you want to do? Just say it. You come to me like this every day, and everyone is annoyed. Long Qingxie's eyes flashed a bit of on, with a smile like the evil spirit of trapping prey into the trap, and said his request. You're going to take that trash to the Samurai Academy, okay, but I have to take you myself. No way. Yunwu didn't expect that Long Qingxie was such a plan, but subconsciously didn't want him and Long San to appear together. With Long Qingxie's moody character, who can say for sure, will he kill Long San because of some trivial things on his way? Long Qingxie reaches out his hand to touch Yunwu's diseased cheek, and his voice is low. If you go to Shenwang Samurai Academy, you will only be bullied by those old students, not to mention protecting the trash. For husband can let you along the way, enhance the strength to the mid-8th level. How? Small things, such a high utilization value, do you plan to let it go? Cloud Dance smells speech, really for the dragon pour evil out of the conditioned heart. She is not clear about the situation in the Samurai Academy. She only knows that with her current strength, she should be the best among the freshmen. However, it was the Shenwang Samurai Academy, where everyone in the whole Zhou dynasty wanted to go. Over the years, there have been many talented people. It is not her current strength that she can despise. Yunwu thought about it, and for the sake of 3 years in the future, she chose to agree. If you want to join us, you can, but you can't fight against the Dragon 3. Tut, listen to you so protect that rubbish. For husband all want to kill him now. Long Qingxia just finished this sentence. Cloud Dance began to oppose his fellow meaning. Fortunately, at this time, Long Qingxia remedied in time and added a sentence. For the sake of improving your strength, I'll give him 3 more years' life. If he comes out of the Shenhuang Samurai Academy 3 years later, don't blame me if he dies in my hands. Cloud Dance smells speech, white-eye he. However, there is another calculation in mind. Although Long Qingxia's cultivation talent is extremely evil, she went to Shenhuang Samurai Academy this time and met with Long Qingxia 3 years later. Who knows if Long Qingxia will still beat her, or if she has the ability to defeat him. The future, but no one can say. Well, you'll go to the college with us for the next 3 years. In these 3 years, you are not allowed to fight against Long San. It's better to ensure the safety of Dragon 3 now than to be killed by Dragon 3 tomorrow. Cloud Dance thought about it and added another one. Also, you can come with us, but don't show up in front of Dragon 3. Little thing, are you asking too much? Long Qingxia was discontented at that time. Could he be shamed? Cloud Dance said, Long San doesn't know much about me. If you show up in front of him, how do you want me to explain? I don't want too many people to know about me yet. If Long Qingxia could manage these people, he would not be Long Qingxia. I want to improve my strength, but I don't want to show up for my husband. Little thing, you use me thoroughly. Evil spirit a smile way. Yunwu killed this one and never intended to let it go. There are too many variables for Longqing to face with Long San. Long San's life is just like the scattered weeds swaying in the wind and rain. Longqing can crush him with one finger. Since she proposed to take Dragon 3 to the King Warrior Academy, she naturally wanted to protect the safety of Dragon 3. Dragon Qing Evil See Cloud Dance is really Iron Heart. Haven't waited for Cloud Dance to speak again. Finally, unexpectedly true concession. Well, I won't show up for my husband, but I will ask for the compensation I should ask for at that time. Cloud Dance listen to no not good. Dragon Qing Evil will want compensation in addition to take advantage of her. There is a second. However, this time, the dragon no longer gives Yunwu a chance to open her mouth. He bends down to kiss her and taste her lips. Kowtow, kowtow. Just as Yunwu was about to make Dragon Qingxia suffer, he was interrupted by a knock on the door. Dragon Qing Evil displeased looked to the door. There is a cold. Seems to want to teach each other. Yunwu girl, did you sleep? As soon as Yunwu hears Granny Yao's voice, she stops Long Qingxia in a hurry and signs him with her eyes to stop talking and get out of here. Dragon Qing Evil very cooperate with Cloud Dance. Big eyes stare small eyes. Resolutely refuse to go. Clearly is to play to rely on pointed to his lips. It means let her kiss him. Damn. This cheeky dead man. Sooner or later, she will let him eat shriveled. Yunwu glanced at him. At last, there was a knock on the door. He rushed to kiss the dragon and pushed him to the back window. Get out of here. Long Qingxia touched his face, which was touched by Yunwu, and half pushed through the window. Cloud Girl? Cloud Dance put his just move as unconsciousness, while responding, while walking to the door. Granny Yao, I haven't slept yet. I'll open the door for you. Granny Yao stood outside the door smiling, her face full of love with vicissitudes and wrinkles. Girl, I've boiled some tranquilizing and invigorating herbs for you. You can drink some and then go to sleep. Yunwu looks at the medicine bowl in Granny Yao's hand with mixed feelings. As time goes by, she becomes the role of mother-in-law Yao. Yunwu took the bowl of medicine and let her mother-in-law enter the room. Thank you, Granny Yao. You worry about me so late. Granny Yao sat down at the table and said to Yunwu, Granny is old and sleeps less. Today, you are so angry with Yun Qinger that you can't put it down in your heart. Grandma Yao doesn't have to worry about it. I'm used to it. It's only in front of my father today that I feel a little excited. And about the engagement, I heard that Long Shitzi was a lass. Poor child. You have to suffer so many things when you were young. Thinking of Yunwu's engagement to Longsan tomorrow, Granny Yao sighs. But she also knows that other people's family affairs are beyond her control. After drinking the decoction, Yunwu began to smile. Granny Yao, I have always been good friends with that Long Shitzi. If it wasn't for him, maybe no one in my life would want to be engaged to Long Shitzi. In fact, it's not so bad. Naturally, I said these words in the capacity of Miss Yunjiajio, a waste lady. Granny Yao's eyes were in a trance. Looking at Yunwu's bright eyes, she said with emotion, "You are a girl who reports good news but not bad news, just like my family that 5 Phoenix winches the same. Only say some let me rest assured words after that." Yunwu heard that Granny Yao had some old stories about her and Wufeng. After seeing Granny Yao away, she decided to go to see the Red Fire Dragon. It will take 3 years to go to Shenwang Samurai Academy this time. There is still an agreement between her and Red Fire Dragon. You should go and say it in reason. It's too late. Yunwu doesn't want to wake Yunqi, so she thinks of Hayo. Hayo, can your black fog help me cover up? Do you want to be a thief if you don't sleep in the middle of the night? Do you believe that when you recover your strength, I'll go all over the world to publicize that you almost burned yourself while refining low-level pills? Maybe the threat of Yunwu was too much for Hayo to bear, so for the first time, he didn't have a poisonous tongue. Instead, he helped Yunwu cover up his body and entered the forbidden area. Red Fire Dragon noticed when Cloud Dance came in this time and looked forward to seeing Cloud Dance. Little girl, have you found a way to let me out? No, I'm here to say I'm going away for a while. Cloud Dance embarrassed smile for a while. This big guy also think of the thing as simple. However, seeing that she is in such a hurry to go out, if she knows that she is going to leave for 3 years, will she have a bad temper sure enough? After hearing this, Red Fire Dragon was not very happy immediately. He asked, "Will you leave for another 3 months?" 3 years. The Red Fire Dragon's huge body was straight, and his lantern-like eyes widened to watch the clouds dancing. What? How long? 3 years. This sentence, 3 years, is like a magic word that touches taboo. The Red Fire Dragon slaps its tail angrily in the pool and sets off waves. I knew mean people couldn't believe it. 3 years later, if you never come back, who will I go to help me out? Cloud Dance is also fed up with Red Fire Dragon's temper. Last time, it was said that the summoner can't break the oath. Does this big guy only grow his body but not his brain? I've come to tell you, out of morality, whether you agree or not, I'll go. And since I have promised as a summoner, there is no room for repentance. When the time comes, I will naturally come and let you out. In fact, Red Fire Dragon had psychological preparation before, waiting for more than 10 or 20 years. However, in the end, I have expectations in my heart. Instead, I live like a year every day. I hope that this girl can quickly find a way to grow up and let it go. But now I heard that when the girl came, she said she was going to leave for 3 years. Suddenly, her hot temper also got up. She growled to Yunwu and said, "Come here and be imprisoned for another 3 years." Before the roar fell, the irrational Red Fire Dragon's head rose and shrank, and then rushed to Yunwu. Although Yunwu had been on guard for a long time, her speed still fell behind. Just as she was about to be swept by the Red Fire Dragon, a dark figure appeared between her and the Red Fire Dragon. Evil animal, dare to hurt people in front of me. Black AO one-handed clamp Red Fire Dragon's jaw, backhand lift, that let Cloud Dance fear Red Fire Dragon was directly Black AO so simple overturned. The Red Fire Dragon ran into the wall with the forbidden array painted in the room, rolling and wailing in pain in the pool. Cloud Dance walks to Black Proud side, looking at him one eye, pick eyebrow. It seems that I have not suffered a loss in this transaction. Black AO snorted from the nose, for Cloud Dance obviously despised him this matter, quite unhappy. Although he is not as good as before, the Red Fire Dragon and other things are not enough for him to see. It took a long time for the Red Fire Dragon to slow down, but Hayo's attack was not light. Now the Red Fire Dragon seems to be a lot dimmer in the Cloud Dance. Red Fire Dragon some fear of staring at Black AO. Huge eyes have an irresistible fear. You? Who are you? I'm afraid it's hard to find anyone who can make it suffer so hard this week. Who is this person? What's the name of my seat that you should inquire about? Black AO is obviously to this time from cloud dance that receive of the air of the blankness all sprinkle on red fire dragon body. Finish saying to fly forward again. Twist red fire dragon's bibcock, throw it to fly out. This time, the red fire dragon had a long memory. When he got up again, he did not dare to be disrespectful to Hayo. My lord, I am rude. Please make amends. Cloud Dance was surprised to see that red fire dragon, a fierce big guy, also bowed to others one day. The Cloud dances coolly to the Black AO to charge away. Black AO, you leisurely point, can't give it to fall dead. I have an agreement with him. Wanna let it live to leave here? Red Fire Dragon is relieved to hear that the black proud man appeared to protect the human little girl. So, there must be some trade between him and the little girl. Otherwise, with the strength and identity of this black proud adult, how can he help such a weak little girl? However, since that little girl opened her mouth, black proud adults should not start again. Hayo looked at the red fire dragon. His scarlet eyes were gloomy and dignified, and warned him. Yunwu will leave for 3 years and will come back in 3 years. If you speak ill again, I'll beat you until you can't get up in 3 years. Anyway, you just have to save your life. Yes, I know. The red fire dragon did not dare to disobey and bowed his head to obey Hayo's order. Yunwu added, Brother Long, be honest these 3 years. Don't make trouble for the Cloud family, you know? Yunwu is not reluctant to have an accident in Yunjia. The most important thing is Yunqi. Although he has strength, if he really faces the fiery red dragon, I'm afraid he will be restless. This point, she readily explained. I see. Red fire dragon is only subject to the existence stronger than it. Yunwu's current action for it is to take chicken feather as an arrow. But because Hayo was watching, he didn't dare to resist. He was afraid that Hayo would beat him half to death and suffer 3 years' crime. So easy to solve the red fire dragon's trouble. This time to the King Warrior Academy, no worries. Cloud Dance mood is a bit better than usual. However, with the help of Hayo, Yunwu uses the black fog to cover her figure and prepares to leave the forbidden area. A loud bang, like thunder. A huge earthquake made Yunwu fall to the ground, but he didn't know what happened. Listen to the sound just now. Is it an explosion? Aware of the difference in the outside world, Hayo immediately gets away from the Chaos Hall and comes to Yunwu. Yunwu quickly regained her composure. She looked around, and when she saw the fire in the direction of the palace, her pupils suddenly shrank. A terrible premonition made Yunwu a little flustered. Hayo, let's go to the palace. Black Alma returns to Chaos Hall without a word. When Yunwu calls him out again, they stand outside a high wall of the palace. There are flames and smoke rising from the inside of the wall, and the pungent smell of burning all kinds of objects makes Yunwu cover her mouth and nose. Hayo, wait for me here. Hayo is afraid of fire now. Even if there is a branch of Xianghua, it is just the arm that can protect him from refining medicine. Remember, you must come out in a quarter of an hour, or you will die in it, and no one can save you. Cloud Dance Su Rong Jia head, jump on the palace wall, straight to the center of the fire. After entering the fire, Yunwu realized why Hayo would stop her. The fire seems to be fueled by blood. Every ball is red and makes people cold. Dragon 3. Are you there? Dragon 3 Yunwu is shouting in the fire. When she just came here, she didn't meet any palace people who put out the fire. It must be someone who did something secretly. In addition to the emperor, the queen is the only one who can do anything in the palace. The queen is so well prepared that it is impossible for Dragon 3 not to be here. The wooden beam couldn't help burning and fell from the top of Yunwu's head. The roaring wind was mixed with sparks. Yunwu's face was slight and he dodged in time, but he was still scorched by the fire. As time goes by, Yunwu can't help but feel anxious, but can't find the trace of Long San. Dragon 3, come out quickly. Dragon 3. A quarter of an hour seemed so fast at the moment of life and death that Yunwu only felt that she had just entered the fire, and the time was almost up. The fallen grass began to turn into ashes and fell from Yunwoo. Yunwoo began to feel the pain penetrating into the soul. Forced by helplessness, she had to leave here temporarily. At this time, the house behind Yunwoo suddenly collapsed, cutting off all her retreat. Yunwoo didn't expect this kind of accident. The pain of burning her soul made her sweat, and she was soon dried by the hot flames around her. Over and over again, Yunwoo soon found that she had symptoms of dehydration. At this time, it is impossible to return from the road, so Yunwoo has to continue to go deep into the center of the fire. Dragon 3. Dragon 3 Long San. You son of a bitch, I've done you a terrible job. Cloud Dance barely maintained sober, gritted teeth to scold. Well, on the eve of her engagement, she and Long San were both burned to death in Long San's residence. If it was spread out, it would be probably the stupidest martyrdom in the history of the world. Where is the engagement, but also self-immolation? The double weakness of soul and body makes Yunwoo tottering in the flames, and may fall down at any time. Such a weak Cloud Dance did not find that around her, the flames, which were still fierce at the beginning, gradually softened. It's like finding a home, or a master. When Yunwoo falls into the fire because of the weakness of soul and body, the flames around her swarmed up and wrapped her up. The flame in the fire field takes the Cloud Dance as the central point, forming a huge spiral nest. Finally, all the flames condense into a ball, like a fire cocoon. Cloud Dance, on the other hand, falls into a deep sleep in the middle. Hayo waited outside the palace wall for a quarter of an hour. Then he couldn't help climbing over the wall and entering the palace. Now Hayo really regrets the stupid thing that let Yunwoo in just now. Among the constraints of the master-servant contract, the most dissatisfied one of the servants is that the master dies and the servant dies. If there is any accident in Yunwoo, he will also die completely. He can't even keep the black fog form in the past. What's going on? When Hayo came to the fire, he was stunned by the vision in front of him. All the flames had gathered in the center of the fire, and only some burnt and blackened ruins were left around. And let Black Proud move not open an eye. It is that regiment is in mid-air suspending fire cocoon. Even Hayo couldn't figure out why the cloud danced in the cocoon of fire, even without damage, just like falling into a deep sleep. At this time, there was a sound of beating the gong in the distance. Hayo judged that the people in the palace had come to put out the fire. If the clouds were left here, there would be trouble. For today's plan, only the Cloud Dance and the Fire Cocoon are sent to the Chaos Hall together. Can we ensure that the secret of Cloud Dance will not be spied by others? Hayo tries to walk to the cocoon of fire, and then reaches out his hand to touch Yunwoo. He is burned into nothingness by the flame. Black Ao drew back his hand and painfully mobilized the black fog on his body to condense his body again. He murmured, "Damn it, how can the fire be more intense? Now even if you don't save Yunwoo, no one can hurt her. Hayo himself can live. However, in this way, it is equivalent to leaving the girl to the people in the palace. In that case, I'm afraid Hayo is caught in a dilemma." Finally, Hayo sees the fairy fruit branch on his arm, looks awe-inspiring and has a decision. "I'll give you a favor today. Life or death is my own life." Hayo poked the right hand of Xianguoshu towards the cocoon. The twig seemed to have its own thought and grew crazily. Finally, Hayo wrapped his whole arm tightly. However, even so, the twigs of Xianguoshu are constantly burned to ashes by those flames, and a thick layer of plant ashes accumulated in the fire cocoon soon. Hayo's own arm is also in the process of being burned into nothingness and recondensing. In the end, Hayo's whole body seems to be about to melt and become translucent. Just when Hayo wanted to admit his life and was directly engulfed by the fire cocoon, he finally established a connection with the Chaos Hall in Yunwoo's body with the master-servant contract. Hayo is very happy in his heart and urges Chaos Hall to absorb the fire cocoon and the cloud dance in the fire cocoon together. The sound of the gong was getting closer and closer, and Hayo reluctantly picked up something like a small square box and left quickly. And the cloud dance in the fire cocoon is totally ignorant of all kinds of things outside. For Hayo, the life-threatening flame only made Yunwoo feel a comfortable warmth, as if the baby had returned to her mother's arms. Inside the fire cocoon, those flames are carefully jumping on Yunwoo's body. They can even see the meaning of flattering. With the jump of those flames, the body of Cloud Dancing is also changing. Previously, Yunwoo deliberately changed the appearance of the diseased seedling, which was carefully burned by the fire, revealing her original beautiful appearance. Suddenly, Cloud Dance, surrounded by flames, opens her eyes. A pair of mysterious purple eyes appear with some charm. At this time the Cloud Dance is still dull. She tried to recall, but how can't remember what happened. Who is she and why is she here? The children's voice came from the fire. Saint, you are our saint. Yunwoo's eyes move. Is she a saint? The children's voice dropped a little, with a cry. Saint, help us, we don't want to kill. Help us, help us. Bursts of sad crying. Let Cloud Dance heart like an invisible hand to catch. Hard grip, let her breathless. Don't make a noise, Cloud Dance weakly called. In fact, the voice is not as loud as the milk cat, but those children's voice is strange. Quiet down. Here is. Cloud Dance confused mind gradually return. Think of oneself is to go to the palace, but finally fell in the fire. By the way, fire. Yunwoo realized that she was surrounded by flames. Yunwoo clearly remembers the boundless pain of soul and body burned by flames before. But why do these flames bring her only warmth now? Yunwoo tentatively touched the inner wall of the cocoon on his side. It felt silky and soft, as if covered with a layer of velvet. Yunwoo thought of those children's voices in the dusk and asked, Hello, are you still there? But this time, no one answered her. Yunwoo is distressed. The cocoon seems to be warm now, but if she breaks through and wakes it up again, won't she really have no place to die? How do you get out? Hyo is guarding outside the cocoon of fire. It seems that the cocoon of fire is breathing regularly. He had lived for so many years that he did not see such a flame as it is today. See Cloud Dance wake up, Black proud to stand up, but after a while he found, Cloud Dance seems to see the fire cocoon outside the situation. This discovery makes Hyo fidgety. Like Yunwoo's worries, he is also afraid that if he starts rashly, it will hurt Yunwoo. What's more, with the strength that it's difficult for him to gather the real form now, most of them are just going to die. Just when they didn't know what to do, the fire cocoon seemed to feel the emotion of the outside world and cracked a hole. Yunwoo sat on the inside of the crack, just saw the figure that Hyo was so thin that he couldn't see, and the nearly dry Xianghua branch on his arm. Black proud reaction faster than her, immediately roared, Come out! Yunwoo jumped out before his voice fell. Fortunately, there was no other abnormality in the cocoon. Yunwoo, I know you're from the witch family. If I'm not wrong, the flame tonight is taken from the source of the eternal flame in the holy land of the witch family and the calling temple. Yunwoo was stunned. I didn't expect that there was such a coincidence. You say, that's the holy fire of the witch clan? No, strictly speaking, they are not the holy fire of the witch race, but just a small part of the flame separated from the origin of the holy fire. But now that the Hall of Call has been closed for many years, there is no way to find the real source of the holy fire. Because of these separated sub-fires, they are extremely precious. Cloud Dance think of those children's voice words. The heart has a guess. But why do they call me saint? Black Ao and see her that pair of monster purple pupil Mao. Affirmative way. That means, you will become this generation of sorcerer saint. Cloud Dance is absurd. No way. Even if I have half of the blood of the witch people, I can only be regarded as a mixed race at most. How can I be a saint? Although Cloud Dance is not quite sure, the standard of choice for this saint. However, I would like to know with my toes what kind of blood and dignity and what conditions are needed for saints like this. What's more, she seems to listen to Bai Lao inadvertently mention that the witch clan seems to have fallen for many years for some reasons. And if not at the beginning, in the northern Warcraft forest, before Cloud Dance, the power of witchcraft was unconsciously awakened, and the power of witchcraft between heaven and earth had not been awakened. In that case, the witch clan has been destroyed for many years. Hyo said, although it's not really the holy fire, it's also a branch of the holy fire. It's absolutely impossible to admit your mistake. You may not even know your identity. Her identity? Cloud Dance smells speech. In the heart some self-mockery, her identity, is not the cloud house of ill-waste 9 young lady. What identity can have? However, he said, maybe it's not because they want to choose me, but because I'm probably the only one left in my generation. So, most of them have no choice. Black Ao listened to the words of Cloud Dance, quiet for a while. You mean the witch clan is going to die out? Maybe. I don't know if it's true or not. Cloud Dance is also troubled by the feeling of heartache. Did not notice that Black Ao said a also word. The thin black fog on Hyo's body flows slowly, as if reflecting his inner thoughts. Since they believe that you are a saint, there is a reason. Cloud Dance, you feel the meridians in your body and see if there is any difference. After hearing the words, she hesitated for a second, but she was still lucky. Although she didn't believe that she would be a saint, she also looked forward to the benefits that the flame could bring to her. Yunwoo mobilized her internal strength to circulate in Zaya's Hushin. In the second circle, Yunwoo suddenly found that something like gold and blood appeared in her meridians, like a layer of mucous membrane, tightly attached to the inner wall of the meridians. Black Ao waits for Cloud Dance to open an eye after, smile to ask away, discovered? At the beginning of Cloud Dance, I didn't quite understand it. After a few seconds, my eyes lit up. She nodded her head in a moment of excitement. It seemed that she realized the use of the gold and blood-like things made by the holy fire. In the future, when she absorbs external power sources, those things will be like a layer of armor in her body to protect her meridians from damage. This is the reason why so many practitioners die of hatred, but she has a way to avoid such a miserable end. This is the unique blood, gold, and fire of the witch clan. You are so lucky, girl. It can also be a blessing in disguise. Black proud tone rarely with a relaxed smile. I'm looking forward to the day when you help me recover my strength. Let's go. It's time for you to go back to Yun's house, or someone will find you missing. Cloud Dance this time is not as straightforward as usual. Hyo, do you see Dragon 3? Hyo shook his head and said, I didn't feel the existence of other people in that place, even the ghost. Some of the floating hearts fall. You mean, he's not dead yet? Hyo sneered. I mean, he might have been burned out before we came. Cloud Dance because of Black Proud that a fly away, on the way back to Cloud home, has been heavy in the heart. In addition to Queen Shuelyo, it seems that no one else can use the magic flame in the palace. But why did Shuelyo use this method to kill Longsan? A proton that is already useless does not pose a threat to Shuelyo. Full of questions will soon break Snow Willow's brain. Back to the courtyard, Cloud Dance staring at the top of the bed tent, sleepless all night. As soon as it was clear, Yunwoo got up and went to the front hall. The fire in the palace, such a big movement, her attitude did not make others feel wrong. In the front hall, Yunqi and Yunlungi sit on the throne, and the rest of the Yun family are also in a state of distress. It's obvious that they didn't sleep well because of last night's events. Yunwoo has covered up her purple eyes and appearance again. She is still tired after 2 steps and sits down beside Granny Yao. Cloud Cold EC Cloud Dance to come, just open mouth. Yunwoo, did you know about the fire in the palace yesterday? I know. The place where the fire broke out was Long Shizi's residence. If the palace people didn't put out the fire in time, the place turned into scorched earth. Cloud Dance eyebrows slightly wrinkled, suddenly a tight heart. Is it true that the Dragon 3 really buried in the Sea of Fire? Yunqi scolds Yunlingji and says, if you want to say something, just tell me the point. Don't let Xiaowu worry. Don't you know she's not well? Yunlingyi is scolded by Yunqi and can't answer back, so he has to bear it in silence. Yunwoo gives birth to some hope because of Yunqi's words. Is grandfather hinting that Longsan is not dead? It doesn't matter that Long Shizi was found unconscious not far from his home. However, the emperor's will, the engagement ceremony is cancelled. You and Long San will go to the King Warrior College ahead of time. The name of Shenwang Samurai Academy comes from Yunlungi, and the Cloud family members present are all surprised. Especially Yun Qing'er. She wants to go to the Samurai Academy crazy, but now Yunwoo, because of engagement with a waste, step up to heaven. Why? Yunwoo doesn't care about the engagement ceremony and so on. When Yunlingji says that Long San is not dead, his heart that has been hanging all night finally falls down. Fortunately, although she did not save Dragon 3, but at least Dragon 3 is still alive. Granny Yao patted Yunwoo's hand and comforted her. It's good to be alive. Don't worry about it. Today, as soon as Yunwoo came in, Granny Yao saw that Yunwoo was really worried about the Dragon 3. Since Yunwoo attaches so much importance to Nalongsan, it's not bad for them to be together. Cloud danced long breath, chest suffocation disappeared. But all kinds of questions are still there. Go ahead of time? Why is the Emperor in such a hurry to let us go to the Samurai Academy? Isn't there still a month left for the talents from the Samurai Academy to enroll in the Imperial City? Although she listened to Long Qingxia's words and agreed to take Long San alone, it didn't mean that she would be willing to accept the sudden change. If something goes wrong, there must be a demon. The residence of the third dragon is burned by the snow willow with the witch flame. Now the Emperor is driving them away like a driver. Among them, there must be a very important crux. It's just, what is that? Cloud Cold E also don't know the reason, only to Cloud dance perfunctory way. You don't ask so much, the Emperor's will has been under, you listen to? Cloud dance smell speech. Light looked at Cloud Cold E. Yunlungi didn't even think about such an abnormal thing. It's really chilling for her daughter. Fortunately, she didn't expect much from Yunlungi, and she won't be disappointed. I'll go into the palace and see Dragon 3. This matter, perhaps only as the party's Dragon 3, can know some clues. Yunlungi has no objection to this. Yunwoo is willing to get along with Long San duo, which is a kind of compliance with the Emperor's will. He is so happy. In the palace. After entering the palace, Yunwoo found that some palace people and bodyguards looked at her more strangely than the last time. In addition to sympathy and disgust, there is also a bit of fear. Being seen all the way by them, Yunwoo almost couldn't help but feel his face to see if there was any accident in the disguise technique. However, for fear of being suspected, Yunwoo held back. Dragon 3 now lives in another palace. Among other things, the size of this palace is much better than the place where he lived before. When the palace man who led the way to Yunwoo arrived at the gate of the palace, he perfunctorily said Yunwoo a few words, and then left. Obviously, he didn't want to go in and get moldy. Yunwoo has been used to these people for a long time and doesn't care. On the contrary, after these people retreated, she was able to talk to Long San. Yunwoo finds Long San's bedroom hall by himself. When he comes in, he is choked by a strong smell of medicine. A weak and hoarse voice came. Who? It's me, Long San. Are you okay? After seeing the situation of Dragon 3 clearly, Cloud Dance understood how superfluous her words were. Long San's whole body is now covered with gauze. The color of blood and black ointment mixed under the gauze looks dirty and disgusting. Long San's eyes moved and looked at Yunwoo. He said apologetically, I'm sorry to scare you. What nonsense. Where am I so easily scared? Yunwoo took a few steps forward and looked at Long San's injury carefully. He found that he was burned by the fire again, and there was not a good piece of flesh. Last night, you came? Long San asked tentatively. Cloud Dance looked at him and did not answer, but asked, I heard this morning that you were found not far away from the palace. How did you escape under the fire? The flame can burn people's soul. How can he escape from the fire when he was burned in the palace instead of escaping from the beginning? At that time, even if she wanted to retreat, there was no way out. How did Long San escape? Of course, this doubt is just passing in Yunwoo's heart. Long San coughed a few times and said helplessly, I can't remember clearly. I remember that I was tied up and my mouth was stuffed. Vaguely, I heard you call me. At that time, did you go to see me? Long San seems to want to make sure whether she really went to the palace to find him that night. Cloud Dance to this still did not answer him. It seems that the Cloud Dance doesn't answer. Long San is silent for a while, but he doesn't continue to ask. But the eyes carefully will Cloud Dance looked around, make sure she's okay. In Cloud Dance's eyes, his eyes showed a trace of satisfaction. I was worried that you would be implicated by me. Now I can rest assured that you are okay. Cloud Dance sits at the bedside, looking at Dragon 3 now appearance, always feel we're not quite right. However, the impression of the Dragon 3, it seems that this is the case, maybe that she was too much of a bar. But, with Dragon 3's current state of injury, Zhou wants her to go to the King Warrior Academy with Dragon 3 ahead of time. Doesn't this mean that she wants Dragon 3's life? You don't have to be so blatant to kill people. By the way, Long San, do you remember what happened last night? Long San gasped for a while and told Yunwu what he knew last night. Last night, Long San went to bed as usual, but as soon as he lay down, he was dragged down from the bed. And that person is Queen Snow Willow. After the queen appeared in his bedroom, she forced him to ask if she had stolen anything from her palace. Long San said that he was eager to leave that day with seriously injured Yunwu. Where would he have time to steal? Because the queen can't say what she lost, Dragon 3 can't plead guilty. Then, the queen searched Long San's residence alone. What Dragon 3 didn't expect was that what the queen was looking for was a fire as strong as blood. Cloud Dance hears here, eyebrow a pick, eye ground brushed a touch of undercurrent. How to sound? Those holy fire is oneself find Long San to come here? Long San carefully observed Cloud Dance's expression, but he didn't seem to find too obvious expression, and he couldn't guess what Cloud Dance thought, so he went on. I've never seen that flame, let alone stolen it. It seems that the queen doesn't want to let people know about it. After being beaten, she will take the flame away. Who knows, the flame seems to have a mind. When it comes to the door, it breaks free from the queen's hand and comes back again. The queen failed to capture the flame several times, and finally decided that it was Dragon 3 who had made a move in it. Thinking of the relationship between Dragon 3 and Cloud Dance, she became convinced of her doubt. After giving up the capture of the flame, the queen did nothing but cast the magic spell with her own blood and let the magic flame explode after she left. Long San knew something was wrong when he was tied up. He struggled when others tied him up, which made the palace people who were anxious to leave loosen the rope a little. And he, with this tiny detail, escaped from the fire before being burned to ashes. Here Dragon 3 things say here, Cloud Dance eyebrow a wrinkly, in the mind of doubt again of flash. It seems reasonable for Long San to say that. However, he just feels that something is wrong, but he can't say it for a moment. Where is it? The Cloud dances and frowns. Yunwu, what's the matter with you? Dragon 3 looking at Cloud Dance frown. Weak ask away. Yunwu took back his mind and looked at him. It's okay. I'm thinking about what fire it was last night and how it could run after people. In fact, Yunwu was also thinking. Snow Willow is in the palace to keep the magic flame, that she just raised the fire last night, or more. Think of that fire. You can burn Long San's residence to scorch earth. Yunwu can almost imagine what a terrible situation it would be if there were more sacred fire in Shuelyo's hand, let alone the imperial palace. I'm afraid that even the imperial city will be completely transformed into nothingness by her then, right? After that, if she confronts the enemy head-on with her, I've thought about it for a long time. Cloud Dance seems to think of this. Black Ao said, the flame will hurt the soul. Cloud Dance to Dragon 3 asked, you in addition to burns, there are any discomfort? Dragon 3 just said too long. Want to answer the words of Cloud Dance, as if have a weak heart. After a while, the Dragon 3 just weak reply Cloud Dance. As you can see, it's easy to get tired. It's like being hollowed out. Cloud Dance smells speech. Eyebrow a wrinkly. Is his soul really burned? If the soul is damaged, the consequences will be serious. Looking at the Long San lying on the bed with a whole body of burn and blood, Cloud Dance finally said, you are good to heal. I'll think of other things. Long San looks at Yunwu with bitter taste in his eyes. Am I too useless? A loser, can only rely on his betrothed wife. As a man, he can do nothing and almost die. Well, don't be silly. If I had something to do today, wouldn't you do your best to help me? Long Sanding looks at the cloud dance and nods with difficulty. Yes, it will. That's all right. A cold arc is outlined on the pale face of Cloud Dancing. Deep in the dark eyes, a ray of purple streamer flashes away quickly. Let have been looking at her Dragon 3, also didn't have time to capture. Long San, you are healing. I have to go to the Emperor's place. In this case, Zhou Batian could still urge Long San to go to the King Warrior Academy. If there were no greasy things in it, Yunwu would never believe it. On the way to the Imperial Study, Yunwu talks with Hayo in his heart. Hayo, can you refine some elixirs to repair your soul? Yes, but the medicine is not enough. You can't even make up half of the prescription. Then you list the medicinal materials that Danfeng needs, and I'll find them. By the way, please give me some pills for treating burns. Hayo tells Yunwu several Danfeng one by one, and Yunwu is careful to write them down. At this time, the Cloud Dance didn't know what the importance of Dan prescription meant to the people who made medicine. The real high-level Dan prescription is something that people who make medicine regard as their life. Although the medicinal materials mentioned by Hayo are only intermediate medicinal materials, they are also precious to most people who refine medicines. Yunwu originally intended to contact with Zhou Batian to see if he could find out what's wrong with him, and then discuss with him to see if he could wait for Long San to get better. To her surprise, she did not even enter the door of the Imperial Study, so she received another Imperial Edict. Before Yunwu could enter the Imperial Study, he was stopped by the eunuch who happened to go out. Miss Nine, you can't go in now. Cloud Dance listened to his soft voice, frowned slightly, but still slightly weak asked, Father-in-law, the Emperor is busy now? The greasy-faced eunuch shook his head with a fake smile and looked at Yunwu's eyes, as if looking at the disdain of a corpse. The Emperor has an order to send Miss Yun Jiajio and Proton Long San to the King Warrior Academy immediately. There is no delay for a moment. With that, the eunuch shook his hands and bowed falsely. Since Miss Nine is here, the slave will save trouble. Please go with me to Long Shitsi. The items and attendants will be ready in a minute. Are you ready? It seems that she has just come from Long San. This Cloud Dance stares at the eunuch standing in the way in front of him and shrinks his brow at what he just said. Can you ask my father-in-law why the Emperor is so anxious? Long San is seriously injured. The person who set fire in the palace has not been found out. What if someone does harm to him after he leaves the palace? What's Zhou Batian up to? Even let Dragon 3 healing time don't give him to leave. Let her leave with Dragon 3 in a hurry. This is probably not so simple. Is it because of the Queen? If the Queen is really behind the manipulation, but as the Emperor Zhou Batian, why will all do it? This is not like Zhou Batian's usual personality. The eunuch glanced at Yunwu contemptuously and said perfunctorily, How can other people care about the Emperor's affairs? How can we know when we are slaves? Please rest assured, Miss Nine. You will be protected all the way. Cloud Dance in the mind flashed a touch of cold idea, but just because of his appearance, nothing can be done. Long San, like this, how do you want to go? Besides, who knows if the Queen will do anything in the dark? If there is any conspiracy, then she and Dragon 3, it is equivalent to become a living target in other people's eyes, completely into a passive state. All the way, Yunwu followed the eunuch to Long San's temporary residence, but when he saw the scene in front of him, his eyes suddenly flashed cold. Those palace maids who came to pack the dragon's 3 line clothes directly placed the seriously injured dragon's 3 line clothes in the hospital. Cloud Dance, astering the bottom of her eyes, stepped on her 6th step and asked in an unnatural, angry voice, You are really bold. Don't you know that Long Shitsi is a wounded man? It's very noon now, and the sun is very hot. If a severely burned person is exposed to the sun in such a hot environment, people will feel angry. Especially seeing now Long San is in a coma, Cloud Dance even in can endure. Also have a kind of want to pinch the concubine's neck impulse. And if this is not the palace, not under the attention of innumerable secret lines, she has already started to kill directly. It seems that the maids didn't think about it, but someone gave it to the waste proton. The maid in charge, after seeing clearly that it was Yunwoo, turned her eyes and brushed a touch of disdainful ridicule at the bottom of her eyes. It was obvious that she also looked down on Yunwoo. Miss Nine, we are going to pack up for him. There are so many people in the room. It's stuffy in the room. Isn't he nice here? Cloud Dance is very angry and says with a smile, "It's very good. Do you think it's very good if I burn you now, and then put it in the sun?" The servants on the scene all changed their faces. Unexpectedly, the weak and incompetent Miss Nine said such words. Just, Cloud Dance said and said, they still listen as a joke. The eunuch who brought Yunwoo over, with an overcast face, warned her, "Miss Nine, you can't make a joke. It's not easy to solve this problem if you spread it to the emperor, who believes that Miss Yunjiaju, who is as ugly as Long San, has the ability, let alone the courage. How can they not know their thoughts and dances?" However, no matter how they joke, Yunwoo just goes to untie the thin cover on Long San. The eunuchs in the palace all turned their mouths in disgust when they saw the black bandages on Long San's body. Yunwoo puts her hand on the pulse gate of Long San. She knows medicine and naturally finds out that Long San's pulse is weak and the injury is too serious. In modern times, it is in urgent need of surgery. However, the current situation and conditions do not allow it. As a result, a layer of black fog flashed on his fingers. It was only because the color of the bandage was similar to that of Long San's body that no one noticed it. After a while, the answer of Hyo came from Chaos Hall. According to his pulse condition, he is very weak, the injury is getting worse, and there are signs of heat stroke. But what? It's strange. The Black Pride in the Chaos Hall seems to have some doubts. Cloud Dance's pick eyebrows. What's so strange? Make it clear. Well, it's not clear for the moment, but if you don't find someone to save him now, he will not be able to live. The Cloud dances and hears the speech. The brow frowns. But then, suddenly, a blade-like light flashed in his eyes, and on his sickly white face, with an attitude of not tolerating refutation, he said to the maids, "Now, find something to build a shed for Long San, and then 2 people to fan him, and someone to call the imperial doctor for him." The palace maid smell speech. See mental illness to see Cloud dance one eye. Ignore her. Turn round to want to go back to sleep inside, continue to cool. Yunwoo's snobbishness towards these people has already disdained to give even disgust, but has deeply recorded everyone's face in his mind. These people are now powerful and bullying the Lord. One day, she will make them regret what they did today. Cloud Dance took a deep breath, in the twinkling of an eye, but recovered the usual weak. The most urgent thing is Long San's body. Several thoughts wandered around in Yunwoo's heart, and in the blink of an eye, they came up with a solution. Cloud Dance at this time were also not anxious. Instead, turn around and go inside. In the palace maid's puzzled eyes, she took a stool and sat down beside Long San. In the sun, her face became pale and weak. At this time, she just to that has been coldly looking at each other. Zhobati inside eunuch Wei. "Father-in-law, I remember that the emperor's will is to send me and Long San out of the palace as soon as possible and go to the college. Since these maids said that she was busy and had no time to worry about us, let me wait here with Long San. If we were killed in the palace together in the scorching sun, you remember to go back and tell the emperor to let my grandfather take me and the leader of Dragon 3 back, and by the way, bury the palace maids and eunuchs with us, so that we can have a servant to serve us when we get to the bottom. I believe that the emperor sees in the face of my grandfather and my father who just came back. I'll agree." Cloud Dance is very common, as if in the account after. However, as soon as she said that, the eunuch and several maids' faces changed a lot. They had been ordered to sort things out. As for Long San, he was pinching soft persimmons. Anyway, he had been burned half dead. Even if it's dead, it's not on them. However, the 9th young lady of the Cloud family is in the favor of Old Master Yun. A few days ago, General Yun returned to the mansion again. If the 9th young lady died here, the emperor would investigate. Then, do they have life to live? It's just that the waste Miss Nine is said to be as timid as a mouse. How can it threaten people's strength now? Previously looked down on the head of the maid-in-waiting, she bit a few lips and finally reluctantly forced to compromise. This autumn, you go to the imperial doctor, others come to build the shed, Huaner and Yuer come to fan. They don't care about Long San's life or death, but if Miss Ju really died here, they might have lost their lives. Whether it's true or not, these people don't want to lose their lives. However, several palace maids are used to bullying Long San on weekdays. Now they have to wait on him. They all look like they are holding back. The eunuch who brought Yunwu over never spoke, but there was something unexpected in her eyes. When she looked at her, she always felt that maybe your majesty's decision this time was not very wise. Because this Nine Miss may not be as easy to control as they think. Just what she said calmed those tricky eunuchs in court. How can a cowardly and timid waste be able to do this? Thinking of this, the eunuch looked at Yunwu, who was still busy taking care of Long San and cooling him, and hesitated whether to report to the emperor. Yunwu didn't know that the eunuch looked at her suspiciously, but she didn't make any corresponding action. At this time, she should continue to be a waste, so as not to be too abnormal. As for those words just now, the rabbit is urgent and bites people. Can't the 6 seedlings say a few cruel words? Cloud Dance touched Dragon 3, that ugly burned scar sweat forehead, brow slightly wrinkled. How can these scars seem to be burns that didn't last long? She remembers that Long San said that he had been burned for more than 10 years, but how did she feel about the burn mark she touched? Is it because of the torch burning last night that it seems to have a new burn mark? At the moment of Cloud Dance's doubts, don't burn me. The comatose Dragon 3 mumbles, eyelids rolling with the eyes. A look we'll know is very uncomfortable. Cloud Dance, carefully holding Long San's waving hand across the gauze, seems to be able to feel Long San's hot body temperature. Hasn't the doctor come yet? The maid-in-waiting, with a black face and a fan, replied unhappily, the hospital is so far away from here. How can it be so fast? Is Miss Nine going to say that it's our fault that the doctor will be too slow at that time, and will still be beheaded? How do you speak, you maidservant? It's the master you should serve. With such attitude, I will tell the emperor when I see the emperor next time, and let him punish you. Cloud Dance, in that eunuch's attention, raised to lift pale chin, cross-browed and erect eyes of, seemed to have quite base spirit of threat way. The eunuch was relieved to hear that. Yes, Miss Yunjiajio is a waste. She should look like this. If he is wrong, have all the people in the know been wrong over the years? That's impossible. The eunuch saw that after that, the corner of his mouth finally rose slightly. His eyes mocked, and he still kept silent. Dragon 3 began to feel more and more uncomfortable. The blood, sweat, and ointment on the gauze mixed together and soaked the gauze. The air gave off some bad smell caused by the 3. The maid-in-waiting could not help covering her nose with one hand, and the speed of fanning slowed down. Cloud Dance secretly frowned. In the heart begin to ask to black proud. Hio, is this really okay? If you can't die for the time being, you will suffer more. When we get out of the imperial city and have medicinal materials, I'll refine some more and you can use them for him. Cloud Dance tightly ring eyebrow loosen a few, and this time, the too late doctor finally appeared leisurely. Oh, how did you get such a disgusting look? Tai, no more than 30 years old, looked at Long San with distorted expression, smelled the peculiar smell in the air, and refused to step closer. Cloud Dance presses down the concealed anger in the heart. Way, to cure. You come over to have a look. Long 3 seem to want to not work. The emperor has made an order to let Long San and I go to the Shenhuang Samurai Academy together. If he wants to do something now, I'm afraid no one can afford it. Tai weighed what Yunwu said. Yunwu asked himself that he had seen all kinds of disgusting and distorted pictures, and also saw many of the dead. But when she took apart the gauze on Long San's body, She saw the wounds that were bleeding and purulent. Then Lu Mei suddenly wrinkled. Is this a burn? Such a festering wound, with the faint whiplash, is more like being beaten than really burned. This Hyo, have you ever seen such burns? I have never seen the scars of human beings burned by the fire of the witch race before. Maybe it's not surprising that they are different. Is that so? Cloud Dance has some doubts in her heart, but she carefully takes off the bandage of Dragon 3's upper body. Well, I don't know what's the point of living like this. While the doctor was cleaning up the wound for Long San, he said to himself, life is so hard, you can't even get rid of it. As a doctor, but no virtue, this Imperial Palace doctor? Cloud Dance listened to, the Mao bottom is quite a little chilly. Think of the first time to see Long San, although he is quite self-abased timid, but after that, he always ran to Cloud House to pester her, and she followed up. Even, in front of her, he is always friends long friends short call, and no inferiority complex. If Long San really feels inferior and cowardly in front of others, it is also caused by these people's behavior. In front of this doctor, to tell you the truth, Yunwu was very disgusted with such a person. If he was a normal person, he would take his dog's life easily. However, after the doctor took care of the wound, the bodyguard and carriage sent by the Emperor were waiting outside the door. After that, almost did not give Cloud Dance a chance to say anything. Directly Cloud Dance and Dragon 3 to the carriage, sent people to escort them away from the palace. I don't know if it's the bump of the carriage, the Long San who has been in a coma. Suddenly I woke up. The carriage is out of the Imperial City. Yunwu opens the windows on both sides of the carriage, finds out some earrings from a box of jewelry given by Zhou Batian, and uses the hook of earrings to fix the four corners of the small window curtain firmly. In this way, the originally stuffy carriage was ventilated, which made the Dragon 3 more comfortable. Long San is lying on the most spacious seat of the carriage weakly. Seeing the care of Yunwu, he seems to feel very guilty. Cloud Dance, you also have a rest. When Yunwu heard this, he turned back. Because Long San's face was bandaged, he couldn't know what his face was like. He had to touch Long San's forehead and found that the heat really began to recede. So he was relieved. How are you feeling now? Dragon 3 eyelids half closed. Listless back. Much better. Thanks to you in. Thank you. Well, if you didn't want to die, how could you mind your own business? Come on. I have a way to save him. Don't talk about it. Yunwu was speechless at his words, but I was a little relieved to hear that he had a way. Cluck. Now. Suddenly, in one of the medium-sized boxes beside the carriage, there was a thumping sound, like who was beating the inside of the box. And the box, nothing else, was just a box that Yunwu secretly stuffed up before she got on the bus while the guards went to move Long San. Cloud Dance seems to remember. God, how could she forget Hongling? Yunwu quickly dragged the box out from under the box and opened the lock. Wow, a huge and fat flower bud suddenly jumped out of the box, followed by a small red snake like blood jade. Master, I'm suffocating. Have you forgotten me? Hongling Shua opened its big flower bud, revealing its fangs and sharp teeth. The transformation was almost like a bodhisattva turning into a fierce ghost, which was creepy, and the branches that were shrouded in the small box quickly extended to the space of the carriage, as if they wanted to stretch. Cloud Dance sees this, stretch out a hand to give the flower bud of Red Ling's full mouth tusk forcibly close, low voice to it warning way. Keep your voice down. Do you want your master to be found? Also, retract it for me. The carriage is just a little big. You want to burst it. Hongling heard the words, a grievance of shaking, issued a very subtle cry. The master is so cruel. Let me shrink in that small broken box. I am very uncomfortable. However, it controls the volume very well, except Yunwu and the comatose Dragon 3. The people outside the carriage didn't notice anything. Hiss. The little red snake also spits out its core, as if it is echoing it. Cloud Dance looked at them. See, Red Ling said this pitiful. Cloud Dance also some can't bear. Didn't really ask it back again, but let it obediently keep the same. After that, Yunwu also rearranged all kinds of doubts that are not right today and what happened today. The witch Holy Fire doesn't know why she took the initiative to find Long San. The queen misunderstands that Long San and she colluded with each other to steal the Holy Fire, so she wants to kill Long San. As a result, Long San didn't die, and the emperor rushed them out of the imperial city, even giving her a chance to go back to Yun's home and say goodbye to her grandfather and mother-in-law Yao. Among them, what happened? Cloud Dance murmured to himself, unable to understand one of the important joints. Hongling heard, eyes a-bright, as if to please the general, but a move, straight close to Yunwu's side. Master, what do you want to know? Ask me, I know a lot of things. Cloud Dance picked eyebrow. This just remember. Redling in the palace so long. Also escaped the queen's chase. Also avoided that explosion. Maybe it really can know something? Have you found anything wrong in the palace these days? Did you notice what the queen and the emperor were doing? Of course, I know who I am. Although I didn't eat that fragrant bad woman this time, I heard a lot of things and they spoke ill of each other behind their backs. As she spoke, Hongling shook her flower bud head, and the saliva on her tusks dropped. Cloud Dance listen, Lu Mei a pick, suddenly came to interest. Don't give me Joe, tell me. Cloud Dance urges Hongling to continue. Seeing that the host seemed interested, Hongling immediately said it with great interest. Last night, Little Red Snake and I went to find that fragrant bad woman and wanted to eat her tonic, but she was not there, so we played with her for a while. Little Red Snake did not know where to find a very frightening flame. The flame was very annoying and chased us all the time. Cloud Dance, smell speech, shame. It turns out that the real source of this matter lies in these two guys. No wonder the flame will appear in the residence of Long San. It was brought by these two little bastards. Hongling naturally doesn't know what Yunwu thinks in her heart, but also shows off her experience in the palace with her. Later, when the bad woman came back, she ran after Long San, and Little Red Snake and I ran first. By accident, he hid near a room. Then, we heard the emperor and another person saying, "What queen?" At that time, in the dead of night, a beam of light in the imperial study did not go out. In order to avoid the search, Hongling and Little Red Snake hid near the imperial study. That is at that time, Hongling just heard the emperor's words to another person. Yunwu asked Hongling, "What's behind? What else did you say?" He said, "If you can't keep them, you'll kill them. A wicked person like the queen will take the bait." Hongling lowers her voice and imitates Zhou Baishan's voice. But that makes Yunwu's eyes squint slightly. In that rumor, Zhou Batian, the emperor who doted on the queen, actually said that the queen was vicious? What's going on? Is it true that Zhou Batian knew exactly what kind of person the queen was? Then why did he let the queen grow up in the harem? Do you have a weak heart or a plot? It seems that Zhou Batian is not a simple role to sit on the throne of a great power emperor. However, in his words, he said that he was waiting for the queen to take the bait. So, what was the bait he gave the queen? If you can't keep it, you'll be killed. All of a sudden, with a flash of Cloud Dance and a chill in the eyes, a fierce and murderous spirit suddenly surged up from the body. It's a good week. No wonder these 2 days, they are suddenly engaged by imperial edict, and then they are forced to leave the palace in a hurry. Zhou Batian used the word do with obvious intention. However, he deliberately gave the queen a chance to kill both of them. And his means, I'm afraid, is locust beetles catch cicadas, yellow sparrow in the back. The more Yunwu thought about it, the clearer he became about the whole thing, and the coldness in his eyes was deeper. It seems that she and Long San were mostly 2 bait pieces to deal with the queen in that week's eye. I'm afraid they didn't plan to let them live to the King Warrior Academy in the morning. The team didn't know when. It started to walk more and more slowly and finally stopped on the road. There was no wind in the hot air. I don't know when. They left the official road and went on a deserted and silent mountain road. Now, the voice of the guard came in from outside the carriage without any emotion. "Miss Nine, I've been in such a long time. Let's get off and have a rest. The cloud dances to hear the sound. The cold meaning in the black eye is full. The whole body is faintly penetrating a killing intention of complete guard. And Dragon 3, still deep in a semi-coma and semi-sleepy state, did not wake up. Hongling still remembered the order of cloud dance to make it quiet. When she heard the voice of an outsider, she folded the bud and didn't make any noise. However, Yunwu closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, it was the sick and dying Miss Yunjiajiu. She stretched out her hand and slowly lifted the curtain of the carriage. She asked as if it was weak, "Where is it now?" Out of the palace, the guards impatiently looked at her. Even perfunctory are lazy to give. Cloud dance also don't think. Eyes swept around. Here is a desolate grove path. Seeing this, Yunwu didn't say anything, but walked out of the carriage and prepared to get off. "Miss Nine, let your subordinates help you." At this time, a young and handsome bodyguard came over and stretched out his hand to Yunwu. "Cloud dance today. If you use her original appearance, the man who is willing to help her is naturally more like a crucian carp across the river. But now, with her pale and sickly appearance, she is a waste that everyone dislikes. If someone helps her, there is something strange." Moreover, Yunwu could hear that this person's voice was the one who let her off the bus just now. The cloud dances to pour also quietly, stretch out a hand. Let him help her to get off the carriage. "Excuse me, General. Where are we?" "The last general is not a general. Miss Nine is killing me." The young soldier talked with Yunwu for a while. He was a little shy and kind. After several words, he took the initiative to give Yunwu a water bag. "The water in the car will be reserved for Long Shitsi. You can drink some of my water. I'll make up for it when the next resting place comes." "Thank you so much." Cloud Dance looked at the water bag. His eyes moved, and when he took the water bag to drink, a sneer seemed to pass by the corner of his mouth. They didn't notice. It was not long after Yunwu drank the water that he staggered in front of the young soldier's eyes and fell down, as if in a complete coma. Seeing this, the bodyguards who scattered all over gathered in front of Yunwu. A rough tall man kicked Yunwu. After he was sure that she was really asleep, he laughed and slapped the young soldier on the back. "Well done. I know you'll be useful." The young soldier waved his hand in disgust, obviously not willing to be so close to him. "I don't want to talk to this sick, useless woman unless there's an order on it." God knows how hard it will take him to smile at this woman. Others came to admire him, but also with a subtle irony. No one noticed that the cloud dance lying on the ground had quietly opened its eyes and outlined a bloodthirsty cold arc at the corner of its mouth. The reward given by the Empress this time is really rich. It's enough for us to eat, drink, and have fun for half a year. This is the person that the Emperor wants to send away. We are fighting against the Emperor this time. Can't she give more? The young man who talked with Yunwu was envied by his companions for a while, because he was going to cheat people this time, so he got the most money. "I want to change with you. You don't know. When I faced that woman..." The young man's face suddenly changed when he swept the place where Yunwu fell. He exclaimed in amazement, "Where's the woman? I saw that the position of the man just lying there was empty." With this cry, all the guards turned their heads and looked over. See, just cloud dance on the ground rubbed the traces are still, but her people, but disappeared. What's going on? The tall bodyguard frowned and said to the others, "What's the panic? Maybe there's something wrong with the medicine. I just ran away. Go and get the man back." However, others may not listen to what he says. Such a big living person, or a sick waste, but disappeared in public. It's a lie about running away. Even the tall bodyguard can't cheat him. Seeing that other people were disobedient, the tall bodyguard probably felt shameless. He gritted his teeth and said, "Forget it. There's another one in the car. Kill that one first and look for the girl." This time, someone finally responded. A group of bodyguards were all carrying knives, and they were closing in on the carriage. However, as soon as I got close, I heard a click from the carriage. It was like something grinding its teeth, which made people sweat. The bodyguards immediately alerted and stared at the carriage, swallowing with nervousness. Yes, what's in it? You, go and have a look. You go. The bodyguards pushed you one by one, but they didn't dare to step forward. Click, click. This law must let the heart tremble sound repeatedly several times, as if to test the guard's final limit. Finally, in another click later, a bodyguard, finally pushed by his colleagues, rushed towards the carriage. What is it? Come out and die. And with his words, the curtain of the car window was broken from the inside by something. A fierce mouth with sharp teeth and saliva was forced out of the car window. The poor little window couldn't bear the pressure of the monster. After 2 creaks, it broke completely, and almost the whole wall of the car was destroyed. And the bodyguard who just rushed forward was directly engulfed by the big mouth of a red tusk. This scene let the bodyguards in that moment completely stupid. What the hell is that? A flower? No, not flowers. What kind of monster is this? Seeing that the bodyguard who was swallowed was gnawed out of breath and his body was broken, he was spewed out from the big mouth of his tusks. Just now, the fierce guard gate was frightened by the situation in front of us. Chi-Chi stepped back several steps, but he didn't turn around and ran away immediately. Although they were on duty in the palace, who could have seen, or thought, the flower with big teeth and big mouth in front of them was the monster that made a stir in the palace some time ago. All over the world, except Yunwu and Longsan and Yunqi, who have seen Hongling's hideous side with their own eyes, no one else has existed in the world for a long time. Hongling has been exposed, whether they are afraid or not. It only knows that this group of human beings bullied its master, and it wants to avenge his master. After Hongling ran out of the carriage, a red lightning flashed out. When the lightning red light stopped on the shoulder of the nearest bodyguard, people could see clearly that it was a small snake with blood red. The bodyguard wrapped by the little red snake was so frightened that he couldn't make a sound, and his eyes widened. But the next second, the little red snake opened its tusks and bit hard at each other's throat. Within 2 breaths, the others watched the bitten bodyguard. His whole body turned black and purple, fell to the ground and became a corpse. At this time, a green willow twists the corpse directly. In a twinkling of an eye, the corpse is put into the mouth of the red tusk. Click! The sound of eating flesh and blood. At this moment, the eyes of the guards all around were wide with a look of horror. Monster! Monster! Yes, the cannibal monster in the palace. I'm afraid everyone in the palace has heard of the news in the palace. Seeing the big flower, they can swallow a corpse directly into the tusk's mouth. After a while, spit out the bloody body. The body is the viscous saliva liquid, is as like as 2 peas. The bodyguards were in a panic at this moment. Such opponents are far more terrible than those who are close to their level. After all, human behavior can be predicted by observation, but when you face a monster, you never know what it will do next second. What's more, this seems to be the monster in the palace. Now, the tall bodyguard, his face changed dramatically, his legs trembled, but he cried out bravely, "It's just a small snake and a monster flower. What are you afraid of?" Red Ling smells speech, Jess' strange smile, to those scared legs' soft face white human laugh. "You dare to bully my master. I want to break you into pieces and turn you into fertilizer." Hearing this, people's faces changed. No one wants to become the ration of a monster like this. If this monster is really the cannibal monster in the Imperial Palace, even if they have more than 20 people now, I'm afraid they are not rivals. However, the task assigned by the Queen has not been completed yet. If she escapes at this time, the Queen will be even worse off when she learns about it. The tall bodyguard at the head took a deep breath and flashed a fierce force at the bottom of his eyes. He would die if he walked or not. It would be better to fight. What are you doing? If you don't want to die, you'll go up together and swear to finish the task that the Queen told you. This sentence, like a strange switch, pressed down. All the bodyguards were beaten like chicken blood. Suddenly, regardless of the danger, rushed to Hongling together. More than 20 fighting spirits, with their own master's attribute light, pull out the long sword and attack Hongling fiercely. Although Hongling can eat, it looks fierce. But after all, they are not full moon after birth, and they are not thick-skinned. In the face of these people preparing to fight against them, they immediately yell, "Master, help the cloud dance here's speech. At present some cannot laugh or cry. This fellow." However, at that moment, a fierce fighting spirit with fire was thrown out from the shabby carriage behind Hongling. It was like a fierce whip. With a fierce and incomparable momentum, it directly attacked the more than 20 bodyguards. More than 20 bodyguards were thrown out before they could get close. Bang bang, one after another. The sound of body landing makes Hongling feel elated and laugh. "Master, you are so powerful and handsome, haha. Let you bully me and kill you." The biggest impact was that the leading bodyguard was directly hit on a tree trunk. Poof! A mouthful of blood sprayed out after the leading bodyguard landed. His face turned white and his heart was shocked. Good, strong fighting spirit. Who is it? Who else is hidden in the car? Just then, also did not give anyone the opportunity to react. A figure with a silver flash, a cold touch, has been on the neck of the leader guard. And when the bodyguards, lying on the ground and groaning with pain, see clearly the figure of Cloud Dance, suddenly, a pair of startled eyes suddenly stare big. "Nine, Miss Nine. How is that possible? This is the sick waste in the eyes of the world? How on earth is this possible?" Amazement. I can't believe it. All in an instant, performance in the presence of bodyguard's face, as if, like a ghost in broad daylight. Hongling and Little Red Snake, like a happy circle around these people, extremely excited to be greedy. "Master, these people are so bad. Can I eat them all?" The bodyguards were shocked by Hongling's words, and their eyes were full of amazement. "Almost all ridiculous. We'll look for help to the cloud. Miss Nine, please forgive me." At this time, they seem to have forgotten. Just now, they are still calculating Yunwu, and even want to kill Yunwu. The cloud dances. The corners of the mouth are slightly raised, and the eyes are cold. But instead, he reached out and grabbed a handful of Hongling's branches and leaves, dragging the drooling Hongling back. "I have something else to ask them. You and Little Red Snake go back to the carriage first and wait." "Can't you eat it?" "But they are all bad people," Hongling protested, but received the line of sight of Cloud Dance, or obediently returned to the car. However, he forgot that there was Dragon 3 in the car. He pressed him directly and woke him up from the dizziness. When Dragon 3 saw that close at hand, a Fang's ferocious mouth, drooling at himself, almost not scared to death. "I want to scream, but I'm so weak that I can't even shout. Save, save. Help me. It's not like I've never seen you before. I'm scared like this. It's really a counselor." Hongling looked at the Long San, who was covered with gauze. She moved her ass in disgust and occupied the soft couch on the other side. In fact, the first time I saw him, Hongling was afraid of his breath. It was a strange feeling. However, when I saw this Dragon 3 again, I always felt something was wrong, just like the smell was wrong. However, maybe he's covered with the smelly medicine now, and he can understand the taste. Therefore, Hongling didn't think much about it. Outside, Yunwu looked at the bodyguard who got up from the ground, and his eyes were full of fear. Yunwu really doubted how the queen raised the people under her hands, one by one. But Cloud Dance seems to ignore whether she or Dragon 3, in the eyes of the queen, are worthless waste. Even if the queen knows, Yunwu is protected by experts, but she and Long San sent them out of the palace directly. They didn't even come back to Yunfu. I'm afraid the experts who protect Yunwu and Yunfu still don't know the situation. So, to kill these two wastes, it's not necessary to send out real elite bodyguards. It's enough to have more than 20 bodyguards to solve these two wastes. Of course, these bodyguards in front of us can only be regarded as small roles. People's bad nature is like this, saying that they are not afraid of death, but who can really be not afraid of death? Now that someone has started, it's natural that they are scrambling to survive. Yes, yes. The queen has been looking for something. Later, the place where Long San lived exploded and caught fire, so she didn't look for it. I also know something. It seems that the queen has lost something and has a special hatred for Long San. She was not like that before. Cloud Dance listened to the information they put together. In fact, there is nothing useful. These people are just inferior guards in the queen's palace. They don't know as much as Hong Ling. Enough. Shut up. The cloud dances and the cold voice speaks. The bodyguards were silent and didn't dare to annoy Yunwu. You know, whether you die in Yunwu's hand or in the monster's mouth, it's not a good end. At this time, you can bear it. Cloud Dance coldly looking at these bodyguards in front of us. The eye's bottom is that cool indifference. She has always been a person who doesn't offend me, but if someone offends her, she likes to follow her own path. And now these people, let's go. I'll count to 30. If you can run away, I won't go after you. If you can't run away, I'll take my own life. 30? The bodyguards look happy. As long as they count to 30, they can run to their horses and beasts. Are they worried if they have horses and beasts? Think of here, bodyguards can't help looking at Cloud Dance. This Miss Yunjiajio is so hidden and powerful, but her brain is not easy to use. As long as let them escape this disaster, everything is good. As for her and that waste dragon 3, sooner or later are wanted by the queen. Where there is a way to live. When they can't fight back, they will add fuel to the queen. Cloud Dance coldly glanced at them. For their mind, how can the bottom of my heart not know? But pretended not to see, turned and yelled at the carriage. Hongling, little red snake, I'll call 30, and you can come out to play. Red Ling excited should a Emoya de clatter of, seemed to prepare the next second to jump out. The bodyguards heard that when they saw the big mouth of Hongling's tusks coming out of the carriage, they almost peed and their hair stood up. They swore that they would run faster. Cloud Dance mouth slightly up, I ground sneer died with a trace of evil, lengthened the voice to shout the first. 1. The guards were like runaway wild horses, running fast to their horses. Each of them can be sure that in their past life, there was never such a fast one. However, no matter how fast it is, it doesn't work. Cloud Dance in their run out, but 5 steps away, leisurely cry. 30. As soon as the bodyguards heard 1, they heard Cloud Dance shouting, 30. Everyone's face changed. She played with them? Damn it. However, at this time of them, where May stopped to refute only in an instant all panic. All of a sudden, everyone is out of step. People crowded people, people push people, only no one else to fight their own people. When a bodyguard at the back was bitten off by Hong Ling, everyone was shocked by the scene. Run, cannibal, the monster ate people. The bodyguard who was still alive was scared to change his face and ran away in a hurry. Where was the momentum before that? Unfortunately, when they want to take Yunwu's life, they are doomed not to get out of this wasteland of their own choice. Hongling can hardly get the permission of Yunwu to eat people. Naturally, she has a big appetite and is willing to fight and devour. This is the first time that Yunwu has seen Hongling's foraging from such a close distance. His fangs are ferocious and gnawing all around. His arms are broken, and his internal organs and intestines are splashing everywhere. It's too much disgusting. See person, can't help a burst of nausea. However, Yunwu looked coldly. She was climbing out of the dead. She was used to such bloody scenes after half a stick of incense. In addition to the thick blood stain seeping into the soil on the ground, there was no corpse or limb at the scene. However, on the ground, there is a big, fat red safflower, which is very abrupt. Hongling is very satisfied with a burp. 2 branches and leaves touched a circle of the trunk, seems to touch the stomach. This just got up from the ground, walked to the Cloud Dance. Lord, belch master. Hongling dances to Chow Yun like a little flattery. Yunwu frowned and looked at Hongling's fangs. There was a smell in the air. He covered his nose and stepped back a few steps. Hongling, stay away from me. It stinks. Stink? Hongling smells speech. A face innocently closed the bud, with a little bit of grievance way. People but flowers, were smelly That cute posture is not in line with its ferocious, fat image. The cloud dances the facial expression. Some dislike the way like. Clean oneself, otherwise, don't get close to me. As soon as I hear that I can't get close to the master, Hongling will not follow. However, did not dare to refute. Also obediently caught the little red snake. Said the next sentence. The but bumpy turned to find water. I'm going to find some water to wash. The master will wait for me. Until Hongling goes far away, Yunwu looks at its back, is a burst of speechless and helpless. Alas, there is such a big, greedy fat flower around, which makes her laugh and cry. A setting sun in the sky can fall on the horizon, reflected in the shadow of clouds, like a dazzling bloodline. The setting sun is about to set. After Yunwu took back her sight, she turned back to the carriage and was ready to see Long San. In a shabby carriage, Dragon 3 and Cloud dance on the car, subconsciously toward the inside to hide for a while, but this action just out, he stopped the car in time. Yunwu didn't notice his weird little details, but she didn't say a word. The corners of his mouth rose slightly, as if joking, and said, "How? Scared by Hongling? Or are you scared by me?" Hearing this, Long San was stunned for a second, then shook his head in a hurry. No, it's just I feel a little sick." Yunwu looked at the gauze on his body, the position of his chest, because just Hongling, some blood oozed out. "And it's hard?" Long San's eyes looked at Feng Shi and shook his head slightly. His voice was weak and he said, "Do you think I'm ashamed?" "I can't help you." Cloud Dance's eyes flashed deep, but the corner of the mouth raised a smile, just to speak. At this time, there was an evil voice outside the car. "Now that you know it's humiliating, why stay here and be humiliating?" The sound is Cloud Dance, stunned to follow the reputation, and sure enough, see Dragon Qing Evil, that tall and straight figure standing not far away. The setting sun is as red as blood, falling on the tall figure, inexplicably setting off the beautiful and smiling face of the dragon, which makes people feel horrible and cold. I don't know if I'm being attentive. Cloud Dance always feels that the sudden appearance of Dragon Qingxia seems to be full of a strange feeling that it is on the verge of a certain outbreak point and may not be able to suppress a certain temper at any time. How could it be you? Actually, she wanted to say, why are you here? Long Qingxia steps to Yunwu and jumps into the carriage. He turns a blind eye to the Dragon 3 beside him. With the extension of his long arm, he directly holds Yunwu in his arms, with a dangerous smile on his handsome face. "No, who else can I have? You little thing, you don't say goodbye, but it makes me sad." "Say, he that handsome and thick skin of rub toward her neck. This dog like rub people." Let Cloud Dance can't help but frown. "Okay, you don't move your feet." Every time we met, he didn't bother her. Cloud Dance uneasily push away the dragon to poor Evil. Really don't understand. How can he do so? Haunted. Dragon Qingxia tut a. On the contrary, hoop her more tightly. Then, he let the Cloud Dance struggle in his arms, turn his eyes, his cold black eyes, but straight to the Dragon 3 lying on the inside of the car. Lung San's body trembled, and somehow he was afraid to dodge the evil eyes of the dragon. He seemed to be afraid of something, but he tried to be calm as if nothing had happened. Cloud Dance seems to be aware of a strange situation, stretch out his hand to open his waist, lift his eyes to meet the dragon's evil line of sight. The tone is quite serious. "Long Qingxia, you'll follow me, but have you forgotten what you promised me?" No matter what's wrong with her, the situation at this time is not the time for him to make trouble. What's more, he said he would not appear in front of Dragon 3. Now he not only appears suddenly, but also stares at Dragon 3 with his eyes that want to kill people. "What's the matter? Little thing, you eloped with others secretly first. You broke your promise to me first." When the dragon said that, the slender fingers picked up the cloud's jaw, and the smooth touch made the dragon's cool fingertips reluctant to retreat. This gesture seems too ambiguous. Cloud Dance remaining light glimpses to Long San that cast to come, dismay with some strange look in the eyes. The fundus of the eye glimmered dark flash. However, he still slapped the frivolous hand of Long Qingxia. Frowning and glancing at him, he said, "It's the Emperor's temporary decree that we should leave the imperial city immediately. Naturally, we can't disobey the will." If you want to say that Long Qingxia knows nothing about this, Yunwu doesn't believe it. Because if he really did not know, at this moment, he would not be so quick to catch up here. But this also shows that this man really has eyeliner in the palace. He can even cast his eyelid, even the imperial palace of the Zhou dynasty. What kind of force does he have in the whole imperial city? Or even in the whole Zhou dynasty? How much more did he hide? Well, for the sake of imperial edict, I don't care for my husband. Looking at some of the cloud dance in meditation, Dragon Qing evil inexplicable corner of the mouth evil spirit outline said. Hearing the sound, Yunwu regained his mind and looked up at a man who looked like, "I'm very good at speaking." He felt helpless and sad at the bottom of his heart. However, I didn't wait for Yunwu to say anything. But Long Qingxia pointed his backhand at Long San, who was lying on the inside of the car and didn't speak. He said with a smile, "But you should at least explain to me why you are left alone now." Explain? Cloud dance smell speech, direct white he one eye. She didn't feel it necessary to explain with him what. Actually, at this time, Long San tries to help Yunwu explain. But the next second, he was forced back by Long Qingxia's cold eyes, and a touch of fear flashed in his eyes unconsciously. In this scene, cloud dance has been brought into our eyes. This Dragon 3 when Long Qingxia turned his head and looked at Yunwu, he regained his usual appearance of laughing a little bit unorthodox. If you put your eyes on other men, you will be jealous for your husband. Cloud Dance will look back from the Dragon 3 body, just calmly said, "Those bodyguards are arranged by the queen. Just want to do harm to me and Dragon 3. So, was eaten by Hongling?" It's a very simple explanation. Yunwu is obviously not prepared to explain too much. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.